If you've ever been saddened by the lack of sports news over a weekend, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We're back for another week here on Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook. This week is a truncated week as it's shortened by one day in observance of the 4th of July coming on Friday, but we're going to have some jam-packed days ahead of that. Get some trades done here. 13 is still on vacation. We're going to have Kevin in. We got another surprise guest here today. Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook for Monday, June 30th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you all had a great weekend out there. I will say, for those of you that are sports addicts like me, this was a tough weekend because there really just wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on with the NBA done and the NHL done and football still, 10 Sundays away. I mean, even Caitlin Clark was hurt for her WNBA matchup. So it was tough. We had to go outside and touch grass. The problem was it was 90 plus degrees outside, so it was unbelievable this weekend. We're back for another week here. We've only got 4 days this week, and we have the 4th of July holiday this weekend, but it's going to be no shortage of stuff to go over. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Reaching financial freedom. Good morning. Okay, so looks like YouTube or Restream or whatever with the usernames. Just as a reminder, folks, that's nothing that we did. We just showed up one day and that's how it was. So if we're going to complain, let's complain to YouTube and Restream. I should be able to make the most out of it, though, with your names here. Anyway, reaching financial freedom. Good morning. Our stock market. Good morning. Vacationing in Montana with family. Dude, I want to move to Montana. Montana is absolutely stunning. Yes, it is. Whereabouts in Montana? Take pictures. Can you email them to me? And do you know anybody that might help me find a piece of property out there? Cannot wait. Love Montana. Good stuff, Ari Stock Market. Pete, good morning. Welcome back. Hopefully you're doing well. Whis, good morning. What's going on with the Braves, man? Are they going to make the playoffs or what? Hopefully you are well. DCL, good morning, man. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. It's great to see you again. Peter, good morning. Hoot, good morning. Danik, good morning. Jonathan Cooper, welcome back. Derek, good morning. Welcome back. Cam, good morning. It's great to see you again. Bernhard, welcome back. Day Trader, good morning. Moo, good morning. Big Bees, good morning. Welcome back. Charles, good morning. It's good to see you again. New advert, welcome back. Fairchild, how's it going, man? How's Wisconsin? Is it swelteringly hot up there too? White chocolate mocha's here. That means we can get started. Good morning. Abia, good morning. Zach, good morning. Terlingua, good morning. James and This Moj, good morning. This Moj, you want to take a look at Tesla? We've got Tesla news to cover. We can absolutely take a look at Tesla. We've got the deliveries number coming up here. Tesla's lower in the pre-market. We'll absolutely look at that here today. Nuvici, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, good morning. A Sinister Muffin. Oh, that's an awesome handle. Good morning. Edwards, good morning. XC, good morning. Gary, it's good to see you again. Ryan, great name. Welcome back, buddy. JJ, good morning. Footprints for Us. Good morning. Graf and Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Quantum, good morning. AJ Dreamer, good morning. Robot, good morning. Diamond Hotlines here. Let's go, Diamond. John, good morning. Transition, good morning. James, Monica, and Kerching, good morning. Poor Dude, good morning. We're going to turn that around, Poor Dude. Yaso Fine, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Miguel, Isaac, good morning. Can we also look at NVIDIA? Yes, absolutely we can. Tech continuing its breakout here. Okay. Google, Laura in Florida, good morning. Yes, let me add Google to the list. Absolutely we can. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started here with the SPY first. Anthony Royds, LOL, good morning. Here, we're going to start with the SPY. We talked about this yesterday. New all-time highs. Good morning, EKS. Great to see you again. New all-time highs here on the market. We had a lot of fear and doubt and all of that being sown from the beginning of April. And here we are at new all-time highs. We continue to break above the 613.23. Markets are actually higher here today. High print this morning on the SPY was 618. High print on the ES futures here, 62.55. We've done a pretty good job holding up near the high end of the range here today. We do have the Chicago PMI coming today at 9:45. I don't know how big of an effect that's actually going to have on the market. Just kind of taking a look ahead at the truncated week here. We do have Fed Chair Powell is speaking at a European Central Bank forum tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow morning pretty early. We also get the ISM manufacturing PMI tomorrow. So we'll see if that ends up moving the market at all. Wednesday, we have the ADP employment change and obviously gas and crude data. And on Thursday, we have non-farm payrolls. So we do have some economic prints leading up to the 4th of July here today. We'll see how much impact that actually has on the market. And if this turns around the blue sky breakout that we now see here in SPY. One more thing to add to this, because we've been talking about this in terms of setting up trades as we've come into this, the seasonality for both the broader market and a lot of individual names has pointed to being very positive starting July 1. Some of them start a little bit before July 1st. Some of them start a little bit after July 1st. But for the most part, it's going to be that July 1st date. There seems to be some very positive seasonality. And in fact, just as kind of a recap there, July is the second best month following November. July, generally speaking, a higher percentage of winning trades based on seasonality, but not as much of a degree or an amplitude of the move as November. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true here. We're still working on some of the things that we've got here. The Home Depot swing has been golden. I'm glad that that's working out. Hopefully you folks have been able to follow that in. And there has been a lot of other stocks that are trading up to highs, namely tech and defense. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of those too. Levels to backtest here. Obviously, this 613.23. If we sell off at all, do we find any type of support at that previous all-time high that we recently broke, or do we plunge right back beneath it? If we do, we can start looking at some of those moving averages and then the round 600 number. But for right now, we are still above the all-time high. We'll see if we can stay above that all-time high. RSI here currently at 70, so maybe another day or two move to the upside, followed by a couple days of maybe just some range-bound trading might help that. We'll see how this all shakes out. Now, let's go ahead and go through some of the news here today, and then we can go ahead and take a look at the charts that you folks want. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody's suggestion. Miguel wanted to take a look at BBAI. I suspect that one's going to be a popular one that we're going to be taking a look at quite often. So, Miguel, I will add that to the list, absolutely. NVIDIA, Google were the other ones on there. Those are already on there. Really good stuff. Mojo, good morning. Rooster, good morning. And ATL Russ, good morning. All right, let's go through some of the news here real quick. U.S. stocks likely to open higher, continuing its record-setting advances. June has never seen an all-time high since 1950. That has changed now. As the July 9 deadline for President Trump's reciprocal tariffs comes closer on Friday, he suggested that the deadline for a U.S.-EU trade deal might not be set in stone. Quote, "We can do whatever we want," end quote. He told reporters at the White House, "We could extend it, we could make it shorter. The pause temporarily reduces tariffs to 10%, but they could revert to higher rates unless Trump's executive order from April 9 is amended." Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury yielding 4.25 and the 2 years at 3.72. Those continue to cool off a little bit, and that's all good for the market here. Nike, we talked about that at the end of the week. Nike, huge move. I think it was up like 15%. Yeah, Nike surged 15% on Friday after the athletic apparel giant reported quarterly earnings. We talked about that having an extremely low bar, and Nike then also saying that they're going to be unaffected by tariffs going forward. For those of you, let me know if you guys have trades on Nike. I can't remember if some of you folks trade Nike or not, but you'll have to let me know. Following Friday's record-breaking rally, Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research highlighted historical data and said that the S&P 500 index has never made an all-time high in June since 1950, whereas it has only happened twice in February, excluding this year. It went ahead and gave you a chart there for that. Meanwhile, he also reiterated that the bull market that began in October of 2022 was still active. He underscored that the S&P 500 has been higher in post-election year in 9 of the past 10 cycles. Pretty good seasonality there, if you ask me, going back 40 years to 1985. Quote, strength is now normal. It is next year you need to worry about, end quote. And we'll worry about next year when we get there, frankly. Good to hear that we're expecting some more strength here this year. The S&P 500 has been higher in post-election years, 9 of the past 10 cycles. Strength is normal, but we need to worry about next year. Here's a chart that accompanies that. He also highlighted the market rebounded from the April lows to turn positive by the year end of July for the first time since 2009. Quote, with a day to go until the official midpoint of 25, the S&P 500 is up 5% year to date. I don't think many people would have guessed that at the beginning of the year. They certainly wouldn't have guessed that in April. There were people jumping out of windows in April. Then he goes on, the next insight here from Ed Yardini. Ed Yardini of Yardini Research highlighted that tariff delays and AI spending have propelled the S&P 500 index to new highs. Quote, Trump started to moderate his stance on tariffs on April 9, and AI companies reiterated their commitment to spend tens of billions of dollars on AI capital investments during April's Q1 earnings season. Also boosting the S&P 500 is the record high in S&P 500 forward earnings. So that is one of the reasons why we find ourselves where we're at here. Going on here, Trump says he'll skip trade deals, set a global tariff with a letter, pay 25% or 20 or 40 or 50. President Trump has revealed his intention to set new tariff rates unilaterally for various trading partners through letters. The decision will bypass the need for individual trade agreements. President Trump declared that the upcoming deadline for trade agreements is irrelevant, as the U.S. will assign tariff rates to numerous countries through letters. The halt on Trump's comprehensive global tariffs is set to end in about 10 days. Currently, only one deal and temporary truce have been achieved, leaving the rest of the world in a state of uncertainty. We'll see how that shakes out. By the way, for all of you taco folks out there that just love tacos so much, let me know what you feel about Mark Carney saying we're going to put on a digital tax. Trump saying, okay, we're going to cease negotiations. Yeah, Canada pulled that real quick. You want to talk about flip-flopping? Oh boy. Trump voiced his preference for this method on Fox News' Sunday Morning Futures, saying, quote, we made deals, but I'd rather just send them a letter, a very fair letter, saying, congratulations, we're going to allow you to trade in the United States. You're going to pay 25 or 20 or 40 or 50 or whatever it is. Still trolling people. Giving an example of an ally nation, Japan, Trump stated that the letters would be on the lines of, Dear Mr. Japan, here's the story. You're going to pay a 25% tariff on your cars, end quote. Don't think that's actually what's going to happen here, but nonetheless, a little bit of a laugh there. When asked about extending the pause beyond the July 9 headline, Trump replied, I don't think I need to. I could. There's no big deal, end quote. He added that these letters would be sent out, quote, pretty soon, and that meetings were unnecessary as we understand and we have all of the numbers. In mid-May, Trump had already expressed his intention to bypass individual trade deals and set new tariff rates unilaterally. He stated it was impractical to meet with all the interested countries and the new tariffs would be communicated through letters. Trump noted that while there were 150 countries interested in striking deals, it was not practical to meet with all of them. His administration had already reduced many of the tariffs announced on April 2nd to 10%. For a 90-day period. So far, a trade deal with the UK has been signed and finalized. By late June, the U.S. had finalized the framework of a trade agreement with China on rare earths, and that was said to be making progress towards closing deals with 10 other major trading partners. One of the big ones that's in there is going to be India, and there was also talk about Vietnam being in there, which should impact a lot of the suppliers or a lot of the apparel producers like Nike. Again, we'll see how that all shakes out there. However, Trump's latest move move suggests a shift away from these negotiations. Meanwhile, the European Commission president, Ursula von der Leyen, has announced that the EU was open to a trade deal with the US, but was also considering other possibilities. Trump's decision to assign new tariffs through letters could potentially impact these discussions. So we'll see how that shakes out. July 9th, right around the corner, by the way, looking at the calendar here, July 9th is going to be a week from Wednesday. So we've got 4 days here this week, and then it will be 2 days next week, and then July 9th there on Wednesday. So we'll see how that all shakes out and how that impacts a lot of the things that we're doing. Market here telling you it isn't worried, at least not at the moment. All right. So first news here about Tesla, then we'll go ahead and take a look at that Tesla chart. I know there are several of you that want to take a look at that. I suspect that we're actually going to have a pretty good swing trade here in Tesla coming up pretty soon if you're not already doing that. Investor Gary Black, the founder of the Future Fund, has issued a cautious outlook on Tesla's upcoming second quarter deliveries, saying that the EV giant is likely to miss estimates. Remember, the last time that we talked about this print, we had Gary Black's numbers. I think his numbers were much more conservative than the official ones, and the deliveries didn't meet any of those. So his prediction here was a little bit more refined and actually pretty accurate. On Saturday, in a post on X, Black projected that the company would deliver around 370,000 vehicles in Q2, marking a 17% year-over-year decline, while falling short of consensus estimates by Wall Street analysts at 385,000, or 13% before estimates. We expect Tesla 2Q deliveries due out next week to disappoint, end quote. Black said, adding that the ideal entry price for Tesla stock would be in the 250 range. So I guess that's the first thing. What price are you folks looking to buy Tesla, if any, or are you simply looking to short it? Gary Black here saying 250 is a good buy price. Tesla sitting here 321 in the pre-market, so substantially above that level. We'll see if the deliveries are enough to bring it down close to that level. But who likes 250? And if you don't like 250, is there another level that you actually like Tesla at? I'd be curious to know. In fact, producer, we'll think about this. Maybe we come up with a little bit more of a refined poll, but maybe we should do that here for a potential long side swing. We'll see. We'll think about that. Anyway, he notes that $250 is 30% below the price that the fund had exited a couple weeks ago at $358 per share. Black also cautions that the company's widely anticipated upcoming affordable models could end up cannibalizing its sales instead of expanding its total addressable market if they end up being just stripped down versions of the existing Model Y or Model 3. Quote, if the 2023-2024 price-cutting experience repeats, a lower-priced, lower-cost model won't expand Tesla's TAM to generate incremental volume, since it will merely cannibalize the higher-priced trims. Instead, Black argues that Tesla would need to introduce an entirely new form factor, such as a compact hatchback or a low-price pickup, to attract new customer segments and generate true volume growth. How many of you think Tesla actually needs a new model? That would be interesting. I personally don't think they need that, but Gary Black's making the case that they might actually be able to do that here. Holly Adams said 170 is the price you'd be looking at Tesla for a potential long side. This mode said he swung it at 320. You know, we're actually defending 320 here this morning. So at least in the short term here, that price level doesn't look bad at all. James saying 225 or less. So you're waiting for more than 250 there. Jonathan says 285 on a pullback. Sean says Tesla won't see 250. Okay, I love it. You folks this is great. This is absolutely great. I suspect that we're going to take a more of like a closer look here at Tesla today. We'll look at the chart prior to the open, but we'll also, I'm sure, watch some of those unusual options there. Real good stuff there. Okay, so here's Gary Black's tweet. In fact, let me throw this in here for any of you that want to follow any of this stuff. All of Gary Black's tweets are also linked in the article there. He does a pretty good job with drawing a map on how he actually figures out his deliveries. And like I said, the last time he made this prediction, he was more accurate than most. So good stuff there. Black has repeated his theory on cannibalization several times in the past, warning shareholders about this for the first time over 2 months ago. He has also repeatedly warned that the company's second quarter sales would be disappointing. Having said last week that Tesla CEO Elon Musk is unwilling to accept that at least some of his weakness is owing to the brand taint associated with the right-wing political rhetoric and Doge activities. That was a very poorly written sentence, writer. The other analysts, such as Mark Delaney of Goldman Sachs, have since lowered their price targets for the stock to $290 with a neutral rating, citing the company's substantial demand and brand-related issues. There have been several bullish takes on the stock as well. I guess this shouldn't surprise anybody. Wedbush analyst Dan Ives raising the target to 500 while reiterating the outperform rating last week. In a research note, Ives said, quote, "We believe the march to a $2 trillion valuation for Tesla has now begun," end quote. GTR speeds, if Tesla holds 310, I'm in more. If it's through 335, I'm in more. Out of it if it loses 310. That's actually pretty good plan there. I like that. Kathy saying, I have a short position in Tesla. Let me know what the entry on that was and perhaps what your target is for take gains there, Kathy, if you don't mind. And then good morning to anyone else I missed here. It looks like Sassy Butterfly Chick, James, Big Bear Hug, and Daniel. Good morning again to anyone else that I might have missed. Mo here saying, Dan Ives is nuts. I've been saying that for a long time. Dan Ives gets some things right and gets some other things wrong, but you can always count on him having some wild jacket and tie combination when he appears on TV. He does seem to fit the definition of permeable, more so than anything else. Anyway, here, let's break up some of the news here a little bit. Let's actually take a look at the Tesla chart. Oh, you know what else? I wanted to turn flight mode back on here. Boop. Okay. So here is the Tesla chart. Now, this is some pretty interesting action here. We talked a lot about the 200 level back when this was really trying to bottom down here right around like 220. And I ended up putting in what looks like kind of like a triple bottom formation down here, but it didn't quite get to 200. I know that there were multiple calls for this, I think going to 150 or at least breaking into the 100 handle there. Since then, we've really kind of pushed off these levels. We've done a really good job obeying some of the fibs, but we've done an even better job obeying the trend line. Now what's happening here is that the price is starting to compress beneath this trend line. And did we get it? We got it today. Today, folks, is the golden cross. This is oh, you know what? Maybe not by value here. I've got the 200-day at 313.30, and I've got that 50-day at 312.88. So it looks to me like Tesla actually needs to trade up today, and we can trigger this potential golden cross on the chart. Now, we've talked a lot about golden crosses, whether they work or not. They can also not work. I don't put a whole lot in it. I will say Tesla's actually made a pretty decent move recently. But if this golden cross gives it any type of juice to the upside, giddy up, because we've got some really good targets that we can use as mile markers, if you will, for this potential trade. Number one, 324. That's going to be your 20-day moving average. If we take that out, I think that puts the trend line here in play. The trend line for today, that value is going to be up at 344. 24 more points from where we're at. I mean, I would say that that's probably not in range. Let's see what happens here, though. I suspect if I had to bet, I would bet that this curls back up towards that trend line. I think we probably take this trend line out this time around. After the trend line, we're looking at that 350 to 360 range. This has been a very stubborn range for Tesla. The last time we made a run here, before we made the election run, the post-election run, this was a stubborn range providing resistance again. This actually provided a little bit of support and then resistance when we broke it back down through it. So if we get above this trend line, and if we move higher from where we're at now, that 350 to 360, that's going to be an important range for us to clear out. We'll see if we're able to do that there. Some more Tesla news here, real quick. Elon Musk reacts after Tesla completes an autonomous delivery of a Model Y from factory to the customer's home across town through highways. I will say, as just kind of an aside, I do think that this is pretty damn cool. You make the car in the factory, the car is sold, the car drives to the customer's house, completely skips the dealership. That to me is really sweet. I've talked a lot about not being an autonomous driving fan at all. If my car is delivered to me automatically, I can let that one slide, if you will. Tesla has reached a significant milestone in autonomous driving technology. The company successfully completed its first fully autonomous delivery of a Model Y. Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced on Saturday night that the EV giant achieved a milestone by completing this first fully autonomous delivery of that car. Quote, the first fully autonomous delivery of the Model Y from a factory to a customer's home across town, including highways, was just completed a day ahead of schedule, end quote. Musk credited the achievements to the efforts of the Tesla AI teams responsible for both software and AI chip design. He added that during the journey, there were no individuals inside the vehicle, nor were any remote operators controlling it. Musk emphasized that there is, to the best of their knowledge, the first instance of a fully autonomous drive on public highways without any human presence or remote operation. The achievement follows a series of advancements in Tesla's autonomous driving technology. Earlier this year, Musk revealed that the Tesla full self-driving technology would surpass human driving safety by the second quarter of 2025. He predicted that full self-driving would eventually become 10 times safer than human drivers, reducing the likelihood of accidents significantly. In January, Tesla announced a breakthrough stating that its vehicles could autonomously navigate from the factory to loading docks without human intervention, which was the precursor to the current achievement. Earlier this month, Tesla launched its robotaxi service in Austin, Texas, with a limited number of Model Y robotaxis. This rollout signifies Tesla's commitment to expanding its autonomous capabilities and deploying self-driving technology wherever approved. Meanwhile, Wedbush and Dan Ives valued Tesla's AI and autonomous driving technology at $1 trillion, highlighting the transformative potential of the company's innovations. So again, my big thing here with the delivery of the car, I think this is really, really cool. I'm not sure how much this is actually going to be add to the bottom line. I mean, this to me feels a little bit gimmicky. I know that there are plenty of other autonomous driving factors that we're going to have to look at here on Tesla. I just think this is cool. To me, this is a pretty cool development. Okay. Autonomous delivery was fiction about 10 years ago. Indeed, it was. Now it looks like it's been completed. So pretty cool stuff there. Okay, folks, I know we normally don't have guests on Monday, but that's what makes today special. Let's go ahead and give a warm welcome to this morning's guest. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Luke Lloyd. Luke, how are you doing here this morning?
Ryan, I'm doing well. Went to a wedding this weekend, though. I think it was like 100 degrees and down here in Kentucky, Indiana. So it pulled everything out of me. So it took a lot to get up this morning, but I'm ready to rock and roll. So.
I absolutely love it. You're going through the heat wave too. Not far away from me. I'm actually in the Chicago region, and it did not quite hit 100, but boy, oh boy, we got close over the weekend. Unbelievable.
And there's some investment opportunities, though, to take advantage of this. I'm sure we'll get into some of that, right?
Absolutely, we will. So this is Luke Lloyd, CEO of Lloyd Financial Group. I just got to say here, I like memes. I like popular culture. I love that your firm's abbreviation is LFG. I absolutely.
I hate to say it. You know, I don't want to come across that this is the only reason I picked Lloyd Financial Group, but it definitely was part of the consideration. I'm like, I have to go with this.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I can appreciate that. So first, this is your first time joining us here. Can you go ahead and tell everyone what it is that you do and what they can expect from LFG?
Yeah, so LFG, obviously the acronym itself means that, I'm young and bold and, my whole entire life has been learning from people smarter than I am. And I took a big risk here about 4 months ago, started my own firm. And the biggest thing I want people to know about me is I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'm not afraid to tell it how it is. And frankly, I think that's really needed in this world where everyone's in this industry very kind of, chest out, monotone, kind of just, plays in the middle of the road. At the end of the day, look, I'm not going to be right all the time, but you'll for sure know everything's going through my head unfiltered, right? And obviously the financial planning, tax planning stuff comes into it, but the investment side, that's the fun part, right?
Yeah, and honestly, we need more of that, in my opinion. I've been saying that for a long time. We say here on this show, we make many mistakes all the time. One of our mottos here is it's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to stay wrong. So
that's exactly right. It's all risk management, right?
That's right. I'm with you on all of that. Okay, well, we've got a pretty unique scenario going on right now in the markets with everything from geopolitical conflicts to tariffs. How are you navigating this current landscape? What do you like, sector-wise, individual name? Go off.
I mean, it seems like the volatility, and I'm not talking about the volatility in the markets. I'm talking more about the volatility from the top, right? We don't, every week there's so many new news, new things to think about, right? So at the end of the day, I think you have to consider where we've been and where we're going. And, I've been very outspoken that, that we live in this debt Ponzi scheme. We live in this world where it lives on government debt, it lives on corporate debt, it lives on personal consumption debt, whether it's credit cards, loans, mortgages, right? So you can cite back to 1971, getting off the gold standard, kind of allowing the government to print tons of money. You can cite 2008, 2009 bailouts with the Great Recession. You can cite the COVID era when we printed trillions of dollars. But what's interesting when it comes to the Federal Reserve that was created in 1913, it's great at two things. It's great at bailing things out, and it's great at breaking things. And we've only landed the plane softly one other time in regards to the Federal Reserve hiking interest rates, and that was in the 1993 era with with Greenspan. And then if you look in the 80s, you could cite some of that with coming out of the double dip recession in the early 80s. In the mid 80s, coming out with somewhat of a soft landing, but I don't count that because of the double dip. My point is with that, though, is we're going through the breaking cycle when it comes to the Federal Reserve. So they were late to the game hiking rates because when you print trillions of dollars, even the top economists of the world can't say that we're going to have inflationary issues, which is crazy to me because we were calling it, slamming my hands on the table for that. But now they're late to the game cutting rates, right? So I think what you're going to see is a quick move to where we have to adjust to a slowing demand in the economy, and you have to adjust to maybe some of these other geopolitical events going on. But when you have a world, a Federal Reserve now that's going to be cutting rates, and I think they're getting late to the game, so it's going to be quick and pretty explosive when it does happen. And what I think is going to happen is there's longer duration treasuries, there's longer duration stocks, maybe even small cap companies that have a lot more leverage on their balance sheets. All of that kind of stuff is going to catch up. So long duration bonds like TLT or long duration stocks, like every kind of dividend payers, utilities become very sexy in a lot of ways because you have AI demand, you have the call option on yields going lower, which is going to benefit utilities there. And then you have the heat demand going on, which is going to increase the, obviously utilities that we need here. So you have all that stuff going on for utilities, but long duration stocks, long duration treasuries, small cap companies, I think all of those are different sectors and areas you need to pay attention to because the tech stocks are actually like banks now at this point, like the big tech stocks, right? Like the Apples, Amazons, and Googles with hundreds of billions of dollars of cash. I mean, with the higher interest rates, they're actually making like billions of dollars just on their interest on their cash, right? So lower interest rates, what you're going to see is a lot of those big tech companies go in and try to acquire the small companies. So you get a call option on yields going lower, which will allow these small companies to refinance their debt and actually benefit them. But you also have the call option on probably these big tech companies coming in and scooping up every small company they can.
Okay, so that's awesome. You gave us a ton there. Let's first start here with the TLT. It definitely sounds like you're bullish on TLT. Yeah. Do you have a particular trade here that you want to talk about on how you can actually capture some gains using TLT?
Yeah, I mean, I think we take a look back throughout the past year or so. TLT's hit all it is, for those that you don't know, TLT tracks long duration treasuries. I think the average duration in there is like 23, 24 years. So obviously, the longer duration you go in a bond, the more susceptible it is to interest rate changes. So it's definitely one of the most risky when it comes to trying to play this yield play. Because if yields in 30-year treasury notes go to 6% from the 5% they're currently at, obviously that would not be good. But why I think that they're not not going to 6%, why I think they're probably going to 3.5%, maybe even 4% over the next year, is because of the debt Ponzi scheme that's going on, and also because of a flight to safety here in the United States that I think is on the horizon. Whether it's bad economic data, whether it's more heated geopolitical events. I mean, we tend to forget that Taiwan is something that China's probably still planning on taking a move on. Obviously, Russia-Ukraine situation is going on. Middle East, I don't think is long-term figured out. And frankly, I think the United States getting involved in Iran actually ticks off China pretty much pretty well. I mean, because their relationship. I think Iran's already ordering like jets from China at this point. So my point is, the China-U.S. negotiations that we saw, the March and April sell-off of 20%, I think that could be happening possibly again maybe in the next year or so. So when it comes to the yields on the duration on the treasuries, if we get a 1% move on the downside, whether it's risk-off trade or whether it's the Federal Reserve cutting rates a lot, even though they might not have full control of rates, I think the free market has more control. If you get any of those different scenarios, I think you'll get that 4% 30-year treasury note, and that could be a 30 or 40% gain on TLT. If you want to do, and I shouldn't be saying this because I don't really talk too much about the actual day trading or swing trading on shorter term time horizons, but I'm more than happy to talk about it. So I think your viewers care more about in and out stuff. You can definitely buy some leaps. I mean, I again, don't take this as direct financial advice, but I'd be looking maybe at like a year out on the strike of 100 on the TLT. I don't exactly know what the premium's going for, but you could probably make some money there as well if you want to leverage it a little bit more.
Okay, that's awesome. One of the things when we first started talking about the TLT being a potential trade, I think it was at the end of March, beginning of April, right around all of the tariff stuff. One of the notions here was, if you think that the TLT is actually going to end up trading up, if you're bullish on TLT, you might actually want to just kind of buy some of it, hold it, and then maybe sell some covered calls against it. One of the things that we saw here on the TLT is it really struggled to break the 200-day moving average, which is the dark blue line that I have on my chart. Looks like it's still actually using that as resistance. So in your scenario here, targeting leaps there for 100, that makes a lot of sense. We actually have a pretty good resistance zone identified right up there at that $100 level. I like that too. So
yeah, I love bringing this back into the equation. I come from a very mathematical background, so I was doing a lot of research on Fibonacci sequences applied to the markets in a lot of ways. So technicals is actually how I got my start trading stocks. So I'm more let's rock and roll with the charts. I like that. If we get above the supply zone of the $100 level, like obviously the 200 days is the first one to get above. If we get to the 100, expect maybe a quick, some sell off there, some supply there. It's probably going to drive down the price a little bit, but I think long term, there's no possible scenario that the economy can function at these higher interest rates, whether it's, again, personal debt. The government debt actually is the most important thing. Government debt needs to refinance. 50% of the government debt here in the U.S. needs to refinance over the next couple of years. And then our interest payments on our debt is already higher than our defense spending. And typically in history, that's not a good thing as a nation. So even the government needs to refinance their debt at lower interest rates. And that's why, even Trump's being very outspoken. He hates Powell. He wants to get someone in there to lower interest rates. And Scott Bessent's direct job in the administration is to get the 10-year Treasury note back down to 3.5% or so as well. So I think everything's pointing to a downside move in yields. That's how the economy works. And if we don't get that, the whole economy implodes. And that's not good, obviously.
I'm with you on that 100%. Okay, one of the other things that you mentioned in there were small caps. I do want to ask you about defense stocks because we talked a little bit about that. Maybe there's something you like there as well. But you were mentioning some small cap stocks there, and I love the idea of some small cap company either coming up with a new product or a new piece of technology that looks game changing, and now that company becomes a potential takeover target, excuse me. I love waking up and seeing companies that I'm holding trading at a 40% premium because another company wanted to come in and buy them. It's awesome. Is there anything that's really kind of catching your eye right now, whether it's theme or individual name related, that you're looking at?
Yeah, so let's talk about a small company, Aspen Aerogels. I think ASPN ticker. Very interesting stuff. It's not just an EV play, but it's kind of a play on the overall battery technology and technology in general of the output of energy. They have a very unique technology around the gel that goes around the batteries and all these kind of machinery parts. And that gel essentially makes these batteries more efficient, and it makes them produce more efficiency, more output of the energy itself. So, and it also retains the energy too. So this company sold off a lot. I think it was trading at about $20-$30 as you look at the chart, late 2024. It's down to like $6. Yeah, $5.97 it looks like on the screen. So, this is a stock, I think it's down to $500 million market cap roughly. The earnings going forward, that keeps on growing its top line revenue. The problem is they have a little bit of debt out there. They spend a lot of money to grow, so that's why the stock has been kind of unloved with this higher interest rate environment. But I think they're a huge acquisition target for like maybe the Teslas of the world or the EV sector, any kind of even car company that wants to kind of get involved in a direct play on having an edge on their own battery technology. So it could be a takeout target. If it's not a takeout target, I think it's going to get its kind of debt issues and non-profitability under control. And this stock should be a $15-$20 stock probably down the road.
Okay, amazing. And actually looking at the chart here, doing a really good job basing around this $5 handle, it looks like since March. Got a great volume point of control down there going all the way back to the middle of last year. So, okay, great stuff there. ASPN on your radar. I do have a quick question here from one of the viewers. Hopefully you can take this one. Ryan, ask for Luke's thoughts on energy and AI energy demand. Any thoughts on that you want to share with the group?
Yeah. So this is going to stick around. I mean, AI is revolutionary in every single way. And frankly, the one thing that ticks me off about the Federal Reserve is their comments around AI not replacing jobs. So it's very interesting. We could talk about, that's one thing I didn't even mention, is AI in itself is disinflationary and deflationary as well, as it takes jobs, and it will take jobs. There's these boomers out there, not to talk, my clients are usually boomers or Gen X, but a lot of people don't understand, I don't think, the impact that AI is going to have. It's not going to create as many new jobs as it is, the jobs it's going to take away. So I think it's disinflationary. It fits the theme of TLT that we were just talking about that happens throughout the economy. But when it comes to the actually energy demand, I mean, I use AI every single day for my business. It probably saves me $200,000 of paying someone else to do some things for me, whether it's clipping videos or things like that. Every corporation is going to be using it. Every person is going to be using it. I mean, every college kid is already using AI. So my point is, you have this huge build out. Demand is not going to falter at all, probably for the next 5 to 10 years. There's so much underinvestment in the infrastructure around AI, whether it's the utilities or the data center REITs that you can kind of cite for that. So that's not going away anytime soon. I think actually demand is like 8 times higher than the current actual infrastructure that it could support. So we actually have to catch up like 8 times over that limit. So you can play this again through the utility companies. You can play this through energy, natural gas, because 50% of the U.S. energy supply, and again, I'm just citing U.S., obviously it's more across the board around the world, but 50% of U.S. energy supply is still supplied by natural gas. So playing stocks like LNG, which is Cheniere Energy, or playing another stock that my clients own, XEL, that's more of a kind of renewable and diversified play around energy. These kind of stocks, I think, are going to continue to do well. But honestly, XLU you can track with the utility index. I think that also is a really good play. It's like near all-time highs, kind of like every other thing in the market kind of is. But utilities, I think, are still really, really sexy going forward with the AI demand, with lower interest rates, and the heat waves that continue to go on. I mean, again, I'm not going to be the one saying it's climate change. I'm not going to say the thing going whatever it be, but there definitely seems to be more extreme weather going across the board, whether it's higher heat or during the summers or colder during the winters in some ways. So that's going to actually impact these commodity prices, which is inherently going to help the energy companies and utility companies.
Okay. Real good stuff there. Jonathan, I hope that answers your question. Appreciate you taking that question there. I do want to give you an opportunity. We talked a little bit about this before. How about defense stocks? Is there a defense play that you like? I understand that this theme makes a lot of sense, especially what's going on right now. This show, our group here, we've talked a lot about drones. We've talked a lot about the conflict in the Middle East and maybe how to trade that. What say you? What do you like here?
Yeah, so I personally, my clients own Lockheed Martin. I mean, you can play the Raytheons, you can play Palantir as more of a tech play around defense and AI and cybersecurity and stuff. But I think direct playing Lockheed Martin, the reason being that one instead of the others, it's got a little bit cleaner balance sheet, less debt. They bring in more revenue to produce more profitability per dollar revenue they bring on compared to something like Raytheon. So, and the best thing from a macro side about the defense kind of area is obviously defense spending in the U.S. is not going away anytime soon. But people don't realize that defense spending in other countries is actually relatively low, especially from a dollar amount and percentage amount compared to the GDP. And one of the things that other countries are starting to realize, if you look at, whether it's the data that's coming out or whether it's actually the current administration pushing for this, they've been outspoken about this as well, whether it happens or not directly from them, I think it's going to happen just because the trends of, nations wanting to now protect their citizens because of all these heated geopolitical events and all all these different areas around the world. I think the current like average that countries are spending compared to the defense spending on their GDP is like 3 to 5%. I think people, a lot of countries are realizing they need to spend maybe closer to 5 to 10% of their overall GDP on defense spending. So if an aggregate outside of just America, if other countries are increasing their defense spending, that's going to these defense contractors. And I'm going to stick with kind of the stock and the company itself that has the better balance sheet, that has the F-35s that we kind of are all watching Facebook videos on every day. It seems like now, at least I am. Maybe the algorithm just shows me military videos. I don't know, but they have the F-35.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty, Luke. Same thing happens to me. I absolutely love airplanes. I love military history. I get fed that stuff by the algorithm all the time, so I totally get it. As far as Lockheed Martin goes here, we do have a trend line here that we're trying to break over. We have the 200-day shortly above that. I suspect these might converge by the time we end up taking that out. We're down.
Yeah, hopefully it looks like it might be forming a death cross. I think is that what it is, but maybe a golden cross would be good here.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. So my 50-day is this bright yellow line. My 200-day is the dark blue line.
All right. So we haven't crossed over or anything yet. We're maybe get the golden cross if we get a rip higher, right?
I was going to say, if we get a rip higher, we take this trend line out. We're going to be talking about a potential golden cross here on LMT. So, okay, Luke, this has been absolutely awesome. We really thank you for all of the time that you've given us here this morning. I, for one, look forward to having you back whenever we can. Was there anything you wanted to finish off here before we set you off for the day?
Real quick. I really want to talk international countries. I think it's very interesting. The DXY dollar index is down a lot the past 4 years. It's at the lowest it's been in like 4 years. So if the US dollar is declining, which I think it will continue to decline with lower interest rates, you usually get a stronger dollar when you have higher interest rates. So the fact it's selling off with higher interest rates is very interesting. But South Korea, that's one you pulled up. That's obviously one you had on my list. I think that's very interesting because we wish here in America we were at in their country when it comes to the economic data standpoint. Inflation's down to 1.9%. They're cutting rates. They're printing stimulus packages. They're basically doing what Reagan did in the 80s by lowering rates and printing money, essentially, and giving stimulus out to the current economy, kind of like we did during COVID in a lot of ways. So the corporations should benefit from that. Their companies should benefit from that. I think South Korea is a great spot. I think South Africa is a really interesting spot. India is a really interesting spot. Mexico and Argentina all are ones that my company are looking at. I don't know. We don't have enough time to dig into each one of those, but South Korea would be the top of my list right now, just because of the unplugging from China as well as the economic data I just cited. But those are all 4 other countries I would take a look at for your viewers.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Sounds like we need to have you back and pretty soon. Before we go here, where can people find more of you? Where can they read about you, read about LFG? Go ahead and plug it.
The biggest thing that I've had a lot of fun doing is this newsletter, which is going to be coming out every 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, but it comes out in 14 minutes from now. But I would go ahead subscribe to my newsletter. It's Lloyd. It's LloydFinancialGroup.substack.com. That's one way you can get in my mind every single day, Monday through Friday. And then I do lunch with Luke's, where I go over the newsletter every noon to like 12 to 12:30 Eastern time on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So most people that care about investments follow me on Twitter. I'm a little more active on Twitter and LinkedIn probably than everything else. But Lloyd Boy Luke is my handle on Twitter. It's 2 L's, Lloyd Boy Luke.
Okay, Lloyd Boy Luke on Twitter, and that's LloydFinancialGroup.substack.com. Did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah, okay, and you can find that on my website as well, LloydFG.com.
Perfect. All right. Luke, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Great stuff here this morning. Again, we really thank you for the time and look forward to having you back soon, okay?
Always fun. Thanks, bro. Thanks, guys, for viewing and watching. I appreciate the commentary on the sides of this. This is cool.
I'm telling you, man, we've got one of the best groups of active traders and investors around. Look forward to having you back. We're going to keep raising the tide for everybody. Thanks, Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
That is Luke Lloyd, CEO from Lloyd Financial Group. I can't stress enough. LFG, that's something that I can get on board. Really good stuff from him all morning here. Thank you, folks, for the warm welcome. Absolutely love that. I will try and get him back as soon as I can. Great to see some more folks filing in here. Chump, great to see you again. Welcome back. Mama Bear, good morning. Yassine, good morning. All right, we are ready to go. Hello, Kayla. Welcome back. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at. And James here saying chat is where it's at. Chat, I don't know if you've been following this, but we keep bringing on guests here, and a lot of the time the guests, unprovoked, will comment on how great the chat is. I don't see that on other channels. Adam Mesh has done that a number of times from the T3. Actually, all of the T3 guys have commented that you folks are active, but Luke there as well. Keep it up. Keep it up, because I think we're making a difference, and that stuff is really, really cool to me. Okay, so a couple of the stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at. Don't forget, I know 13 is still on vacation, but we're going to get Kevin back here in just about 10 minutes or so. So don't worry about that. We're going to have plenty of breakdowns and plenty of insights on some of these charts. We've already taken a look at Tesla a few times here this morning. Here's just another kind of reminder of what the chart looks like. Remember, big thing here, if Tesla moves higher today, we have a potential golden cross forming on that chart, and we do have the trend line there. I think that's at what, 340? Is that what we discussed here? Yeah, about a mid 340s, and then that 350 to 360. So we do have some targets that we can get to here on Tesla. Here's a look at what it looks like inside. We've kind of been drifting to the downside here this morning, though. Looks like it's trying to turn around here. Looks like it's trying to firm up. We'll see what those delivery numbers do for that. Okay. Jane says some chat rooms get really ugly. This one is awesome. Yep, not here. Not here. I've done plenty of things like this where we've involved the community for one reason or another, and keeping the chat clean, keeping the chat productive is paramount. So you can expect that type of stuff here as well. Okay, next one here, next stock that you folks wanted to take a look at here was going to be NVIDIA, and it makes a lot of sense. We just talked with Luke about, maybe big tech not necessarily being the best plays here, but so far, this stuff has been running. This little head and shoulders that we thought might be materializing, yeah, that's been deleted and invalidated. No chance. We continue to break out above this 141 spot. We actually did take out, remember, we took out those all-time highs here. NVIDIA blue sky breakout. I wonder here from the group, let's prove how good our chat is right now. Let me know, any of you that have upside targets here on NVIDIA. I'd be curious. What upside targets do you have here? One of the things that I might try to do, and I'm just going to try and spitball here. I'm basically going to go from this breakout to the all-time high to the Liberation Day low. So I am trying to draw a Fibonacci trend-based extension to discern some different levels here on NVIDIA. And I basically took the breakout here. This is what, right at about $97. This was the big breakout that we made last summer that we back tested and held and went higher. Then I went to the all-time highs, and then I drew that down to the Liberation Day low. And this gives us a fib trend extension. This puts our next level up here around 180 on NVIDIA. Now, that's only 22 points away from where we're at right now. That seems absolutely within range here, especially if NVIDIA can keep delivering. And if we don't get any bad news, this keeps delivering on the AI angle. That seems totally doable. Let me know what you folks think. Different upside levels here for NVIDIA. And you know what? If you don't think NVIDIA is going to trade to the upside, if you think NVIDIA really needs a big pullback and a reset, whether it be for its valuation or any other host of reasons, let me know about that too. I'd be curious. Ryan here saying 167. Okay, 167 in upside level there. Sean saying 173. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Good stuff there on that. Good morning, Jay. It's great to see you again. Hopefully you're doing well. Hippo Hero Zero. Good morning. Hippo saying 285. Wow, that is some target there. It's 130 points above where we're at right now. You are specifying long-term hold. So to be fair, you're not going to get that overnight here. Day trader, 272 cents. I love the specific levels. I am here for that. Good stuff. Brandy, you want to take a look at ZLV? Yes, we can absolutely do that. Let me add that to the list here. Cashew Niku, I probably butchered your name here. Let me try it again. Kashik Kitu, $163 makes your $4 trillion market cap level. That's pretty good. Oh, it was RSLV. I got you, Brandy. No problem there. RSLV. Yeah, we can absolutely. That's resolve. we can absolutely take a look at that. Big Bear Hug says, I think we're going to dip towards 140 before we go higher here on NVIDIA. Now, 140 here, remember, I've got 141 identified as that pretty key breakout level. 140 is close enough. That makes some sense to me. A back test of this level or of this breakout before we move higher, that would also make sense. Okay. Real good stuff there. Now, I know we've got Google, BBAI, and RSLV on here. We're going to have plenty of time to get to all of these, but I did want to address something else that was taking place while we were talking to Luke. Zach, you were mentioning here ONDS, and I did see a couple of things over the weekend, so let me address this. Here, Zach, you were saying rumors of a New York Police Department partnership with ONDS here, ONDS trading up in the pre-market. Let's take a look at this, and I'll try and make some sense of this here for you. ONDS currently is trading right at or above $2 here in the pre-market, right at $2. If we take a look at the daily chart here, the reason that this is important, we have this pretty crazy trend line that is connected two of these recent highs, as well as the high that we made right at the end of the year last year. And now today we're breaking above that. So, okay, that's great. Let's actually break above this and try and make a new run here. Technically, this would be great if we hold above this. If we draw in some more volume here, if this trades up more from where it's at right now, all of that would be great. But let's take a look at what some of this news is here. If I go to the news pane, you won't see anything here in the news pane. But I think what Zach is talking about, I did see this over the weekend. Let me see if I can find this for you here. Where is that? Here we go. Okay. First of all, come on. I found it here. I'm just sharing the wrong tab. First of all, it's a gentleman that I follow on Twitter. He's also mentioning here that ONDS actually made the CNBC ticker, so that's cool. But what I really wanted to focus on, where are you? Where are you? I saw it over the So here you go. This is where all of that stuff started from. This is, according to him, the New York Post print edition. And if you blow it up here, now I can't confirm this. I don't have the New York Post. I don't have access to the print. If any of you do have this, let me know. If you can confirm or deny this, please let me know. He's saying here that one of the pages here shows the New York Police Department Drone Ranger. And the product being shown here is the Iron Drone. This comes from American Robotics, which is a subsidiary of ONDS. So ONDS is the parent company here. I believe, Zach, that this is where the rumor is starting. Now, again, the rumors are one thing. Speculation is one thing. Wanting to buy a stock that is really cheap and all of that makes a lot of sense. But couple of things to keep in mind here. We really need to see this actually impact the bottom line. We need to see sales. We need to see things like this. So the rumor's great. This, I believe, is where it's coming from. But let's see what actually happens here going forward. Now, this morning, where are we at? We are trying to break above this trend line. I love this. We saw this stock actually trade up the last time we got a news about an order, and it went red in the same day. So I don't want anyone to get too excited here. Sean saying, love ONDS, but it scares me at 2. Been a hard climber. Frequent register bank. I completely agree with that. And the big thing that I'll say here is don't chase the moves here. Here's the other thing to keep in mind. There is a very popular and prominent Twitter account that is tweeting about this all the time. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what you need to understand is that there might be one of these days where it pops and it runs and it draws in a bunch of longs only to puke them out on the backside. So I like the idea of being careful. I don't think that it's just, yep, you're just going to be fine. This has been a long-term hold for me. It has not worked for a while. So just kind of keep all that in mind. Okay. It is just about 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and welcome on Kevin. Kevin, how are you doing here today?
Yo, good morning, Ryan. Morning, Zingers. Man, I'm doing good. Happy Monday. Hope you guys all had a great weekend.
I sure did. Thanks again for joining us here. Really, really appreciate it. And you've come at a really good time because I actually need to step away for just one sec. Would you mind sharing your
Sure.
charts? We did have a couple of stocks that folks wanted to take a look at. If you want to look at them right away, you can. Otherwise, you could take a look at anything that you want. The big stock that they were asking about was Google. So I don't know if you have a breakdown here in Google. Just give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, let's do it. Guys, let's cover Google, see what's going on there. It's a great stock, great large cap to trade. Of course, it's a great company with great backing, really not going anywhere, right? It's one of those companies that we know it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's Google. So what we could take a look at is we could find some support and resistance. Now, I usually like to start on like a weekly, a daily. Right now, we'll start on the daily time frame. So we'll mark out some type of a bit of a daily demand right down here. I see about 167 to about 164. This is an area that held as support. Now, if I drag this to the left, I could see that, look at this, guys. This was a great area that held as support when price is above it, and it held as resistance when price is below it. So 164 to 168, we could also call that 165 for the key psychological level, and that could be a great buying opportunity on Google. Now, at this moment, I do see that we're at a pretty tough point, right? Because if I look to the left, this is now an area that worked as the same thing, guys. Hey, what's going on? Sassy, Ozzy, what's going on? Good morning, guys. Sean, what's up? Good morning, guys. Run that like button up. Appreciate you guys for joining today. We had a great day on Friday. I want to repeat that, guys. So right now, Google, what I would look for, guys, is we're opening in an area of resistance, and that's around 181 to about 183. So I'd actually look to see if Google wants to fail this level when markets open. So even though, yes, we're gapping up, we're pushing higher. A lot of retail traders. Now, we always have to think both ways, right, guys? We have to think of how are institutions trading, how's retail trading, and what's the mindset behind it? Because emotions play a huge role into trading. Institutions like to look for any type of stop hunts, they call it. Yo, what's up, Cam? Good morning, guys. Yeah, there we go. Let's get me that purple Powell tie. You already know it. But what I'd like to see on Google over here is a rejection to these highs when the market opens. Now, the reason for that is because it's going to be at the top of the range. A lot of people are going to try to take this breakout higher. And when people are looking at, let's say, the hourly, they're going to say, okay, look at this. We're making a higher high. We're making higher lows. This is so bullish on Google. Well, we have to remember, guys, what goes up must come down. What goes up can have a pullback. We're near a very strong area of resistance. The last time we traded up here was June 10th and June 11th, and we rejected this zone twice, right? We even moved down as much as $5 off of that zone. Palantir had a nice bounce on Friday. We'll take a look at Palantir as well. It's another great one. I actually had some swing trades on Palantir that
Still
were
got them open?
up. Hey, what's going on? What's
Still got those Palantir swing trades open?
Not me. I don't have anything, unfortunately. But yo, look at that. Ooh, what a pivot from yesterday. I did not see that. What do we have? About a almost a 10% move to the downside on Palantir. Talk about a buying the dip. But I'd really like to see if it could hold above that 135 area. Real strong 135. This was a point of resistance. We broke above it. Like to see it hold as support and make its way towards that 150 level.
I see that. I see 120 being a pretty decent support. That was also previously resistance. And before we get to 120 on Palantir, I've got that 50-day moving average at 124.70. So we'll see if that catches it here. I'm looking like Palantir's up about 5 or 4.6% here in the pre-market. That's causing us to recapture the 20-day. We'll see if we can hold above that there. This says Palantir and Accenture shares are trading higher after the company announced a partnership to collaborate on incorporating AI into the federal agency workflows.
Okay.
That's news as of this morning. I actually hadn't even seen that yet. It looks like that just came out here a little bit earlier.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how markets want to react. If it does give us a reaction to that news at market open. I see Oracle, a little gap up. Yeah, look at that, guys. Oracle closed around 210, and it's opening around 224. You throw our measurement tool up on there from our open to today's, yesterday's close to today's open. About a 6% move to the upside overnight on Oracle right there, guys. Definitely something to keep an eye on. And hey, I know you guys missed something. You missed that like button this morning, so make sure you run that up.
Well done here. Real quick on Oracle. Oracle in a filing says that the CEO plans to meet with other Oracle colleagues here today. Says Oracle is off to a strong start in fiscal year 26. Our multi-cloud database revenue continues to grow at over 100%. We've signed multiple large cloud services agreements, including one that is expected to contribute more than $30 billion in annual revenue starting in 28. Wow. And then we also got an upgrade from Stifel. So Oracle with some really positive news here this morning. This also trading higher. I got to imagine that this is going to help pull the Qs up today as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's take a look at Oracle on the weekly here, because that also, I always say when in doubt, zoom out, right? We want to look at the higher time frame trend. And overall, Oracle on that weekly, man, we've been flying since the week of May 27th. We have moved up about 36%, and that's not including today's gap up. If we include today's gap price, we're up 40% on Oracle from 158 to 224.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this Oracle this is a pretty awesome formation here. This looks like this is trying to push higher and discover a price high. We are over 100 points higher than the 200-day moving average. This thing, Oracle, going to finish today pretty overbought, I suspect. But another new all-time high. Good morning, Jay. It's great to see you here. Jay, let me know about what you think about Aldrich Potketer. That guy's fun to watch. Jay also mentioning here Meta also recently hit a new all-time high. Meta gapping up 1.74% here, 746. Indeed, this will be a new all-time high when the market opens here today. Good morning, Beach Bum. Great to see you. Folks, if you're ever looking for stock stuff over the weekend, check out Beach Bum Trading. He's got a YouTube channel, and he has been supporting us from the very beginning. We appreciate that. Okay. Thank you for doing Google. Let's really quickly do BBAI and Resolve, and then we'll also knock out some of the movers. Does that work for you, Kev?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to start here with BBAI. Now, I don't know why this was asked about other than recently this being a pretty good trade here. You can see we really moved through that 450 area. We did that on on Monday with really good volume. If we look inside here, here's what BBAI looks like. We're continuing to push even higher here. Did we have news on this today? Nope. Nothing new here on the news. On average, this is trading about 93 million shares. We've traded about 10% of that so far here today. BBAI looks like a pretty decent chart. Looks like it's trying to roll higher here. You got any levels for this, Kev?
You know, I think we were looking at BBAI yesterday because I do have some zones marked out on it. I'm going to swap our screens for a quick moment. We have a good area coming up around about $6.73. So we're gapping up. We're heading towards that point. This was a good area that held as support, then held as resistance, and it is near that key psychological $7 level. So I do think if BBAI, I do think if it does want to find some volume in the morning, which we have seen volume increasing for the past 4 trading days, I think it can make its way towards that $7 level today.
All right, that'd be sweet. Remember, BBAI, when we first started talking about this, there was people floating that, hey, this might be the next Palantir. And well, I don't want you to get too excited about that too early. Chart actually looks great here today, and we'll see if this 9% gap holds here. Glenn, appreciate you. The 0.382 fib level, 652 there on BBAI, so we're approaching that key level here pretty soon. Okay, good stuff there. There was no news on that. Kathy, I believe it was Kathy or Brandy. I'm sorry. You guys both have similar looking icons there in YouTube. It was Resolve, right? RZLV. Resolve AI. This was it, right? This was the right stock. I know we had a ticker mix up there, but I'm pretty sure this was the right stock here. You let me know. Make sure I'm getting that correct. Big news here on Resolve AI. We made a recent move on volume. This popped us out of that area. Can we actually get back to that 200? We were rejected at the 200 there. We started to come back in. Stock is actually showing a little bit more propensity to move higher here. You can see this is what we did on Friday. We tried to move above the 200-day. We could not close above the 200-day. We'll see if today gives us an opportunity to do that. Did we have anything fresh here? No fresh news on this, so no catalyst driving it. It's just going to be trading action. Not a crazy amount of short interest data either on this. Float of 157 157 million. So we'll see here. RZLV is the ticker. We're basically approaching where it traded sideways here, about 3. That to me is going to be your one key level to get above. We can get above 3. We can start looking at some of these other levels here. 307, although I don't feel great about that one. I feel much better about 315 up here, and then probably 327, 330-ish after that. Kev, you got any thoughts here on RZLV? Maybe this is one you've looked into. I don't know.
Yeah, so what I like with RZLV is that we were approaching at least that $3 mark. I do think if a lot of traders try to purchase above $3, I think we might actually find some selling pressure near 326. Because looking back at it, looking on the daily time frame, that was a pretty strong area. And I know that $3 being a psychological level, a lot of people are going to try to take that breakout above. So if they enter a breakout trade, they try to go long above $3, maybe even above 320. They end up finding resistance around 325. They get rejected. They get stopped out at $3. That could be a good setup short position for us. So we could say we'll short it around 320 and target $3.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Really quick. Smoke tuna BBAI could see 10 plus today. If momentum continues, I'll tell you what, we get a 10 plus move there on BBAI. That's going to be great for our group. That's definitely been one of the traders that we've been locked in on. Okay, let's break down the movers here. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on these movers. You can kind of just get it all set for the open here. Let's see, we've got 21 minutes. We should have plenty of time here. First one is going to be this one, BMNR. Now, this was moving. This was not moving when I first woke up here. It wasn't on the top of my list. But it looks like Bitmine Immersion Technologies, they completed a Bitcoin purchase not long ago, if I'm not mistaken here. Indeed, and we actually do have some news here. So, okay, announces a $250 million private placement to initiate an Ethereum treasury strategy. Day trader, guess what? Altcoin treasury, bang. We got another one here today. We continue to see more of these with these catalysts. And they are doing 55.56 million shares of common stock at $450 to launch the Ethereum treasury strategy. They did end up buying 154 Bitcoin. This was back in June, or excuse me, on June 17th. So interesting. This 450 a share, this getting totally bought. Stock's up 235% here. What a move higher. Kev, what do you make of this?
Man, I mean, I'm looking at this chart and I'm just saying there's not enough information. For me to take a valid trade, to have good structure behind it, to see good momentum, to have a good entry point, I need to see some type of history in the stock, whether it's a historical level, how it has support, resistance, supply, demand, or key psychological level. Right now, at this point, we're seeing 1444 on pre-market, real close to that $15 mark. But the last time we tried trading up here, looks like we maybe IPO'd around June, is that May 30th, right? We IPO'd pretty recently.
I see the candle there. Well, I see the candle on May 15th. I'd have to look into that. Let me go through the news here real quick.
Okay.
I'll do that for you.
Let me know because I'm not seeing anything to the left, but usually on TradingView it will tell you like IPO'd on this day. But for right now, I really want to see how markets open with it, right? Because the volume has to agree with price.
Here you go. So it looks like this was a move from OTC. So May 16th, we had a 1 for 20 reverse. And then on June 2nd, they announced they were uplisted to the NYSE.
Okay, gotcha.
So here we go. Bitmine Immersion Technologies announces an $18 million public offering and uplisting. And that newsprint came at the very beginning of June. So you're right there at the end of May.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what I would like to see, because I'm a big volume trader, is I'd like to see if maybe we want to, return back to the 1090 area. So you see how we put our volume profile up on these two big candles we had. There's the 15-minute time frame from 8:45 where we had that big impact. We had that big gap up. We have low volume to the downside. So a lot of times markets will try to rebalance itself due to the unfilled orders down here. We'll retrace. Could find a long position and target new high of day with good momentum. Other than that, it's really hard to take a breakout trade from this. If we do want to continue from here, I would look to see these volume shelves to remain low while price continues, so we could retest those then, right? Because I want to see volume, price, and structure continue in the direction of the trend.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. BMNR. Also, real quick here, just a look around the horn on that. 0.12% of the float shorted there with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 52,000. So if you don't get in and out of this one, be careful. This thing might be a ghost town. Float of just about 5 million there. Okay, next on the list here is going to be IPDN. Okay, this is IPDN. This is Professional Diversity Network. Did we have a group? I don't think we had anything here. I don't think we had anything news-wise here. No news. Shares surged 233% earlier. They actually lost the VWAP, holding here at about 365. Looks like this traded up a little bit on Friday as well. Okay, IPDN. Quick look around the horn here on this one. Kev, we basically just got to look at the chart on this because I don't see anything else accounting for this move. 3.54% of the float shorted here. That's a 5.4 days to cover, but that comes on an average volume of 146,000 shares. We have volume here today of 21 million. Float here is 1.46 million. What's going on? What do you think here?
Dude, this is one I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
There you go.
Moving like this on no news, that's a huge red flag. Why are we moving?
Sorry to cut you off there, but I agree with you on the red flag. One of the other red flags here, these secondary moves that take us above the VWAP where we just give it up in really short order, that's red flag number 2. So Kev, so far, I'm seeing 2 red flags on this. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's fine. Listen, 2 red flags on the play. We're going to have to put this one in the box for a little bit because I don't think we're going to be trading this one.
Maybe this finds some support down here at 325, 3, maybe, but I think we got some better targets to look at. IPDN. Let me know if you've got anything else on this.
You know, it sort of makes you think too, like, does somebody know something? Why are we gapping up? Why are we pushing so high? Is volume going to come in strong? Is market going to open? And then 15 minutes into market open, then we're going to get some news, right? What's this company do? What in general, what in jest, and everything in between, right? Because it's not just trading the stock, not just trading the price action, which is a majority of trading, but it's also knowing the company. Is it gapping up from $1.75 to $3.75 for no reason? And we're going to see $1.75 in the next day or two again?
Here you go. Professional Diversity Network is engaged in providing access to networking, training, educational, and employment services. It is to its registered users. It has 3 operating segments: the Talent Ally Network segment, which maintains and operates a job board software and hosts career fairs; the National Association of Professional Women's segment, which is a women-only professional networking organization; and Remote More segment, the corporate overhead, the company generates majority of its revenue from Talent Ally Network segment. So there you go. I've never heard of this company. I would be very careful on this one.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely. I agree.
Not with a 10-foot pole. That's right, Tess. That's right, Tess. Okay, next here, I got 2 more that I think... Yeah, 2 more that I really quickly want to cover here. First one's going to be ARTL. This is Artello Biosciences. Artello Biosciences shares are trading higher after the company announced data from its first in-human study of ART 26.12. This stock was about $7 last week. We popped as high as $20, and we gave up the VWAP coming back after that impulse move. But unlike IPDN, which we just took a look at, had that red flag, although this crossed down through the VWAP, it actually made another attempt in pretty short order to recapture it. It's not breaking down. So I think as long as this thing stays above 14, there's a chance that this gets rolling here. It is up 125%, so be very careful. Not necessarily the best thing to chase here. 2.18% of the float shorted here. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. With 1 day to cover, that comes on 70,000 shares of average volume. We've got 8.9 million traded here today. This thing is a micro float with 542,000 shares in the float. This thing could get wild here today. Cav, what do you see on this?
Yeah, you know, I agree with you on that. This one could actually be one to run, right? We're above 15. We're flying above it. We're almost to 16 already pre-market. So the next major pivot we really have on this one is going to be around 1788. So if market's open, we find some momentum, we could look to scalp this higher towards that $18 level.
Okay, real good stuff there. ARTL, we're actually trading up to the VWAP right now. We just crossed above it on pretty low volume. Let's watch some of those volume numbers. Let's see if this increases at all. ARTL might be on the list here today. Okay, next one that I have here, Kev. Sorry, did you need to get in there?
No, yeah, we're good.
No, next one here I've got is WBUY. This is ticker WBUY. This is going to be Whiskey Bravo Uniform Yankee. This stock was about $5.50 on Friday. We did pop as high as 12 here today. We gave up the VWAP, but we've tried to get back above it. We do have a catalyst here. WeBuy Global shares are trading higher after the company integrated Coinbase to accept stablecoin payments. Okay, so good PR there. The whole stablecoin thing, Circle, Coinbase, those stocks have been running. I totally see why that popped it. My question here is, why would it hold 60+% here on the back of that news? I don't have the answer to that. Quick look at the short interest here. 25.99% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 1.9 million shares. We've already traded 23.5 million here today. This too, another one of those micro floats, 600,000 shares in the float. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting towards the top of the range near that $9 to $10 mark, but it's something that we're not, a lot of the stocks we were looking at this morning are up 120%, 200%. Those are the ones that I really want to be careful with when the market opens to trade. Something like this up 50%, we could maybe see that run to 70%, 75%. That wouldn't be so unheard of. But something that's already up 200% pre-market, to ask for another 100% on that, that's sort of asking for a lot. When we trade, we want to be realistic with the market, and we want to be with the probability in the market.
Yeah.
If we're already extended, we already had a strong move. A lot of times, probability odds aren't in our favor for that to continue. But it really depends on the structure we have. If we could hold below 9.10 when market opens, I'd like to see us sell back towards the $8 mark.
Okay. I like it. I like this too. Tommy says, why buy it? Get it? I get it, Tommy. I like that. I like that. Real quick here, this GDHG, this Golden Haven Group, be careful with this one. We've seen this one pop before. This kind of felt scammy the last time that we traded it. It's popping again here. It popped in the after hours last week. And then it doesn't have any fresh news, but it popped in the after hours last week, and it's popping again here in the pre-market today. I say all that to say be careful with this one. We've seen this be kind of a disappointment. The other one I really quickly wanted to cover here was KLTO. This is Clotho Neurosciences. They advanced a gene therapy manufacturing to treat ALS. So they actually did have a piece of news here. This came from this morning. Clotho Neurosciences advances KLTO 202 gene therapy manufacturing to treat ALS with a neuroprotective SKL RNA splice variant. So good data here. ALS is likely one of the things that's driving this. This stock holding higher here by 40%. This was a penny stock that's holding on to dollar territory, so be careful with it. Quick look around the horn here. 10% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Floats about 26.5 million. We've traded above the average already here in the pre-market. You got anything on this one? KLTO?
Yeah, KLTO. So analysis-wise, what I like is that recently, just June 9th on Monday, we had a strong gap up and we continued on it, right? So that tells me that there is a good chance that, hey, you know what? Does the market want to repeat itself? Does history want to repeat itself? Does a gap up from yesterday's close was at, was at 72 cents. Today's open, we're already at $1.01. If we're able to get above that previous day high at $1.09, I'd really want to see that volume continue and bring us higher, but we might look at a repeat of this day that gave us a good dollar move, 150% in 1 day. So if we want to open over here and get another strong move, we might be able to target even that $1.75 or even that $2 mark would be a great move on KLTO. I definitely like this one a little bit better, definitely on one of my favorites of the few that we covered today, especially because of the current range that it's in.
Okay, cool. Getting a mention here that ARTL, hey, look at this. ARTL, this came back in and held that 15 EMA. That was on that 5-minute chart. We got a little bit of a volume tick up that blew through the VWAP at 16.5. We actually briefly took out the high of the impulse move here this morning. It was very brief. But so far, we're holding up here near the highs. So, okay, good stuff here. Brian, you were asking here, does anyone big in biotech know how much this news matters to it? This is
Boom.
I'm not here. This is good data on its first in human study. So to me, that seems like that's really positive.
Yeah, no, this looks good. And it just had
Yeah.
another break of new high right there. 21.28 it's trading at. I said, guys, that $18 mark, I wanted to see us hold above it to see $20 even. We got that very quickly. At this point, with the momentum behind it, $25 might be on the table today.
Okay. Really good stuff there. ARTL. Grats if anyone had that here this morning, or if you were trading that here in the pre-market. Okay. Kevin, that was all of the movers that I wanted. You know what?
Sure.
I guess we should mention LiDAR. Did they? Yeah, LiDAR had some news here this morning. Okay. This is ticker LIDR. Stock is up 34% or 31 cents. It's coming out of penny territory to try and graduate. AI's Apollo LiDAR secures a major transportation OEM deal worth 30 million plus, anticipated over the next 24 to 36 months. So, okay, cool that's getting this piece of news here. But this is the timeline here is 2 to 3 years for this 30 million. What do you make of this LIDR?
Yeah, it could have momentum. I'd like to see. It's always about follow through with me. At this point, if we're looking at the daily time frame since about January, we almost have a rounding bottom here, where every time sellers try to step in, buyers step back, and I'll draw that out so you could sort of visualize what I'm looking at. But we sort of have a rounding bottom.
Yep.
Where we started creating lower lows. We held that, started creating some higher lows, and now some higher highs as well. So trend-wise, it is flipping back to the buy side. I'd like to see if that trend could continue on this LIDR. I'm so sorry. Did you say that there was news behind this one?
Yeah, there's news here this morning. It's a major transportation OEM deal worth 30 million, but they say in the PR that they anticipate that 30 million over the next 24 to 36 months. So
okay,
good that it's got a deal, but it really kind of comes down, it looks like, based on the numbers, it comes down to about $10 million a year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, right now structurally with the time frame analysis, it does look like we're finding support. We had earnings. It beat earnings per share. It missed on revenue, and that is back in May. But since that May is when we had that strong pivot. And over the past couple trading days, Thursday and Friday, LIDR, Izzy, you got it. Big volume on the LIDR. The past 2 trading days, look at the increase on volume, almost like 8 to 10x volume on the daily candles compared to those prior days. So if volume's holding, price is moving higher, volume is accepting price at higher prices, we might see 113 open around 120, hit 140, go to 150, but we have to make sure volume follows through.
Okay. Good stuff there. LIDR. Daniel wants to take a look at Reddit here. Let's do that. Let's take a quick look at Reddit. That's RDDT. Yeah. It's actually been a hot minute since I've pulled up Reddit here. I know we made that huge run that we pulled back from. Does look like we held this trend line. This was a 13 special here from the IPO open. Good news here is that it looks like we're setting up maybe the golden cross if Reddit can keep moving higher. We did recapture the 200 and the 100, and we've continued to move higher here. I gotta think that the next spot here, 155. 155 is going to be a pretty key level. This was a former support level that we held for a while. It's not perfect there at 155, but it's just about around that number. This was a resistance area turned into support, and now it looks like we're going to try and take that out again. Price here right now, 147.73 in the pre-market. We are only 8 points away. I suspect that we will probably test that 155 level here to the upside. Really quickly, short interest here on Reddit, 18.21% of the float shorted on 3.25 days to cover. It comes on an average volume of 8.7 million. The float here is 107 million. What do you think here on Reddit, Kevin? Do you like, first of all, I got to know, the stock aside, do you Reddit? Do you actually use the app? But then tell me about what you think of the chart here.
You know, I'm pretty sure in a way we all use Reddit when we want to Google something specific, and the first post that comes up is somebody asking the same question on Reddit. But me personally, I'm not a big Redditor. I'm more of an Instagram kind of guy, YouTube maybe. But it's something that a lot of people use for all different communities, all different opportunities, right? There's the whole Wall Street bets. There's also medical forums on there. I mean, Reddit is really a great place to socialize, meet people, ask questions. And it's definitely sort of one of those companies that we can't really see going anywhere anytime soon, right? The odds of Reddit claiming bankruptcy tomorrow, probably very slim. That 155 level you marked is perfect. As you said that, I marked that 155 on my zone over here.
Yep.
From was that 150? I have exactly 154.20 to 162. So that 155 might be in play for today, especially with that volume increase on Friday. Yes, good job, Isaac. Good call. We got 2 minutes till market opens. If you guys want, in a little bit, we'll cover some ES, the SPY, QQQ, NQ. Guys, right now, let me know in the comments, what are you trading today? What are you trading today? And hit that like button if you're ready to end the week green and start the week green.
Yeah, I'll say this real quickly here on Reddit. First of all, Kev, I agree. I don't use this, but at some point I did exactly what you outlined. I had Googled something specific. The top result was something from Reddit. I clicked on it on my phone, and then lo and behold, from clicking a bunch of other stuff, now I get Reddit app notifications on my phone. So I love the thread, the /r. What is this? People post pictures of like some pipe or some plumbing thing, and they ask what it is. I'm a sucker for it. I click on it. Sometimes I know what it is. I'm proud of myself. Other times I think, I've seen something similar. What is that? And then I learn something from it. So I'm with you on that entirely. We'll see here on Reddit if we get a move higher here. 155 is one that I'm watching on that. Okay, a day trader here. I would like to see us consolidate between 140 and 150. We're right there. So consolidation on Reddit right now. If we stay in this level, maybe we can move out of that. I like that. I like that. Okay. Steve says, great energy on a Monday, boys, keeping me awake while I'm attempting to work. Steve, we do whatever we can to help out here, whether it's keeping you awake or identifying stocks. We try and help. We will try and bring you that energy. I'm 2 cups of coffee deep. I've already pounded my athletic greens. I'm working on a cup of green tea here. I got it all rolling here this morning. Okay, we are about to open. We're open. You want to go over the futures there real quick?
Yeah, sure. We'll cover some trade setups that we're looking for today. And yes, thank you, producer. 4-day week today, right? Markets are closed on Friday.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Cool stuff. So, guys, what we'll look for, I'm going to delete the volume profile for now, and I'll put it right back in just a moment. But this is the ES. Markets just opened right there, guys. It is 9:30. But what I wanted to find on ES was some support down here. Now, we haven't really created any demand from yesterday's bull move, and that's sort of a red flag for me. So I want to be careful to say, okay, well, maybe because we haven't built any strong structure on our move higher, is it time for us to pull back? So right now on the ES, this would be the SPY. I'd look for possible shorts around 62.52. This is where we found selling pressure overnight once, twice, 3 times. And we have support right below it around 62.40. So, right, that's our range right now. We have VWAP, we have supply. This is what I'm looking for a possible short entry to see if we do want to range back lower. Let's see. This is the ES. Take a look at the NASDAQ as well. Now, the volume profile that you guys saw, I'm going to bring that back up for just one moment. I marked that out from our 6 o'clock open because futures markets open at 6 p.m. Eastern. When you put your volume profile out, it gives you an idea of where that range is currently trading and where there might be a good possible entry or exit. Now, what I see on our volume profile is we have our P pattern. The P pattern looks just like this. It has, let's see, the drawing, It has low volume to the downside, high volume to the upside. Now, this is a bullish pattern. This is something we'd look for to buy the lows down over here in the low volume, and then look to sell at the highs because it's bullish momentum. Volume is pushing higher, even though price is currently pulling back. So I do want to look to see if we could find any long positions today on the ES near this 62.36. Let's see.
Okay, market actually dipping a little bit here. And real quick, what's going on with Google? I don't see any news on Google. This is just moving higher by about 1.5% so far here this morning. Lion, I saw that you, let's print some money. I'm always here for that. Lion, you were saying earlier, watch banks. Let me know, Lion, what are your top 3 favorite banks that you are watching here. And by the way, ARTL, one of our top movers there, I think we had a number of calls on that rolled over here and halted to the downside. So ARTL halted to the downside here, 1967.
Oh, ARTL, let's check that out. That was one we were on.
Yeah.
ARTL halted to the downside.
Yeah, just kind of rolled over after that peak up to 22.5. So I'm not necessarily sure that this is going to continue breaking down, but this first halt here to the downside. LiDAR, by the way, this trading up towards the highs. Watch that 130 level there on LiDAR. No position on this one for me. I'm going to kind of wait out the first 5 or 10 minutes here.
Yeah, no, agreed on that one.
And you know, Kev, I know you were just breaking down some of the indices there. You know, I'm looking at the ES here. We pulled right out of the gate. That's to be expected. I'll bring up the SPY chart here. If you want to go to the ES after this, you're welcome to. We gapped up a little bit here over the weekend. A little bit of a pullback here. This to me seems expected. Maybe we can hold here 616, 615, and that could set up for another leg higher. We'll see.
Yep, looks good, guys. We're coming near a point that I'd consider a long entry actually on ES over here, around 62.35. So 62.35. The first thing I do want to mention, and we're going to delete our volume profile so it's off our screen, is looking at our 15-minute time frame. We do have a basing candle right here, followed by currently a strong sell-off. But this strong sell-off hasn't really closed yet. So usually when I mark out supply and demand, I look for a 3-part candlestick pattern, where we have our basing candle, we have our impulse move away, and then we have continuation. But this impulse move hasn't closed and won't close for 10 minutes. So I would like to see if we can maybe push into the support zone, find buying pressure, and reverse back higher on anybody trying to jump the gun to the downside here. And we do have a little bit of a 15-minute demand right there as well, but the support's really not stepping in here. Guys, what are we looking at today? Tesla's running right now. We can take a look at our equities. Right now, equities are selling off. Tesla hit a very strong area of resistance. It was a pre-market area around 325, rejected back lower to 321. Microsoft trying to find some support. Looks like we are trying to hold down here on ES. I would just be patient here. Market's just opened. It's only been about 4 minutes. Really no reason to jump the gun, guys, right? Let markets develop. Let them come to us. What are we looking at, guys? We got NFE, ONDS, GNS. Let's see.
Yeah. So real quick, so ONDS, this so far is holding higher here. Remember, I really want you folks to be careful on ONDS. I don't want you to chase the upside moves because that really hasn't gone well for anyone that's done that. You're much better off waiting for this to settle at some type of support. That being said, if you're long this either for a swing or an investment or even just a short-term trade, you're getting it here today. 215, there was huge size there that they ended up taking out at 215. I'd love to see us close above that if we can. BMNR, this is another one that we talked about. This actually looks like this is trying to go higher through 15. Looks like we're forming some sort of a bull flag up here. And Tesla, which you were mentioning there a couple of times, Kev. Tesla here, let me get that chart back up. So far, this has actually held its pre-market lows, which coincides pretty well with the intraday low on Friday. So I'd be looking at this 318, 317 as your downside level on Tesla. I think as long as we hold that here, maybe we can try and move higher.
Awesome, man. I like that. Yeah, Tesla's a good one to trade. It's got good momentum behind it, good volatility. Let's see. ONDS had a nice little move up. Great green candle on that first 5 minute on ONDS.
Yeah. Now, the one thing here, remember what we've seen just from recently, some of the trading action here. The stock loves to give some of it back. So if you're short-term trading, if you're not married to this stock, if you want to practice good risk management here, you're probably okay to kind of trade around your core position here. Thankfully, I've made enough sales here as this thing moved up to 2 where I can kind of sit on the majority of my position here. I'm hoping for 3 and 5 and then eventually double digits, but that's a ways down the road. Make sure if you're trading this that when you get moves like this, you're at least getting yourself paid somewhat. Remember, we do this. We're traders here, but we do it to get paid. You got to be able to book some gains along the way.
Yep, that's the goal.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal here. Pretty good day out of the open here. One more thing I wanted to update you folks on, Home Depot. So this swing has been juicy. What an entry on this one. This thing has been nothing but up. I can't believe this trade never went red on me. The chart here today actually looks like we're going to try and pop higher here on Home Depot. I ended up entering this position. We bought those calls at $1.80. I'm looking to sell half of my position at $4. So just over 100% gain. We're going to sell half of it. It makes it impossible to then lose on this trade. If I'm successful in doing that, I'm going to try and hold the remaining calls. I'm going to try to sell them in 3 tranches as the stock moves closer to 390. We'll see if we get it. So far here today, looking to sell half at 4 on the Home Depot swing.
Nice, beautiful swing, Ryan. Great job.
That one wasn't bad. That one, it was seasonality that really gave me the confidence on that one. The seasonality for both Lowe's and Home Depot, both very positive going into July here. We had that on the back of positive seasonality for the overall market. To me, it was all signs point to the upside on Home Depot.
Fantastic. Guys, just trend trading, right? Never try to catch those bottoms. Don't try to imagine the reversal before it happened. We're just here to follow the trend. That's it. If market conditions aren't in our favor, there's more than one stock. All right, guys, let's see. Right now, markets are trying to hold those lows that we had marked out before on the ES and the NASDAQ. That would be the SPY and the QQQ. Let's see. We did have, I think somebody mentioned Oracle was doing really good just before. I'm sorry, not Oracle, Circle, CRCL. And
that Circle's been an absolute monster on the back of that Genius bill passing the whole stable coin thing. Circle's been crazy. Oracle here, by the way, this pulled a little bit to its VWAP. It's holding its VWAP here, 224. Remember, on Oracle, we had a recent blue sky breakout, new all-time highs here on Oracle. I also haven't seen anything terribly interesting come across the unusual option activity, but I'll let you know if that changes here.
Awesome. Let's see, guys. IPDN, somebody mentioned. Guys, don't forget, run that like button up. We do appreciate it. We try to go live every day here on Benzinga, give you guys some of the best information and best stocks to trade.
And thank you again, Kev, because, you know, we're not robots here, right? We're not AI. We're not robots. We need breaks, too. And 13 took a well-deserved vacation. You're able to fill in. So we didn't lose anything, even during vacations. Really, really appreciate you.
Dude, always. We gotta get the 3-peat going, the 3 of us. That'd be awesome. That way, it'd be great.
I'm sure that's in the cards.
If he needs to step out, we can keep things running.
Yeah. No, we're always going to try. Like I said, my whole goal here with this is I want to give you guys a place to come where you know you can get the tide raised for you, whether it's news, whether it's other opinions, whether it's stocks to trade, ideas, key levels. It doesn't matter. Trying to raise the tide for everybody. We wouldn't be where we're at without you folks.
That's right. It's community for a reason. It's not just me. It's not just Ryan.
Nope.
Absolutely. You guys got it. Make sure you hit that like. All we ask is you make sure you keep running that like button up, guys.
Yep. And it's free.
Best support. Yep.
VKTX here, by the way. Is anyone still trading VKTX? I know this. We've talked about this as the weight loss, the GLP-1 angle. Maybe this has kind of found a support level down here. I still think this is a potential takeout target at some point in the future. VKTX up about 4% here. Didn't see that on any news. SNES, Izzy, this was a monster call. I know we talked about this initially the day that you brought it up here. I think it was around $2 when you did that. This thing, the birth control to control the rat populations. I mean, just an unbelievable story here. This thing continuing higher. Congrats to everybody that made money on SNES. This is one, unfortunately, that I missed.
Can't catch them all. That's all right.
Lion, we are interacting with the chat constantly, my guy. This must be a troll comment. He must just be trying to troll somebody.
Guys, I'm taking an ES long contract here, guys.
Show us.
Let's see. This is what I got popping right now. ES 6240. I see these 5 minutes.
I'll be right back.
We got some lower wicks pushing into this green zone. This is my demand zone. We have volume starting to pick up down here. Long lower wick tells me buyers are starting to step in here. We got 3:15 left for this 5 minute to close. And I really want to see if we could start to hold here. I'm in just one ES contract. My risk on this trade is only about $112. My take profit is up here. We're looking for, this is a 7-to-1 risk to reward, guys. This is a huge risk to reward. Really just looking to trade that trend, trade the range. Now, I do want to make sure I don't have any economic news coming out because that will wreck me. We have Chicago PMI in 2 minutes. So I actually do want to exit this trade before that news comes out. I do want to try to let this 5-minute close, because if it does want to start to reverse and hold up, I'll take some more profit off the table. But guys, whenever you're trading something like SPY, QQQ, the ES, we don't want to be in any trades when economic data comes out, because that's when it gets very volatile and we might get stopped out of our trade. So let's see if we do want to move higher a little bit. Again, I'm going to look to make this a scalp instead of a 7-to-1, because I want to be reasonable and we have economic data coming out. So we'll look for maybe a 2-to-1 on this. So we'll see if it gives us a 2-to-1 by the time this candle closes. Right now, if I was using a tool like Bookmap, we get very light on the book because institutions are expecting a very impulsive move as well. So if institutions don't want to hold, I definitely don't want to hold either. Finding a little buying pressure up here, I'm going to just manually cancel it out, lock in $50, and wait for the economic data to come out. If I stopped out here and it wants to continue, that's fine. I don't want to hold into news, because guess what? We could have a huge drop to the downside, and I don't want to be bag holding. So we're going to move this back over here. I'll let you guys know if I do re-enter at any point, but at the moment, I am not in any trades. We took that small scalp on the ES. Again, we locked in about, okay, had a little bit of a wick, so it only locked in about $35 of profit, and that's okay, guys. Right now, markets are pretty inconsistent, so we're going to wait. We have 1:20 left for, what is that? Chicago PMI comes in at 9:45, so we want to see how that comes in. ARTL.
Yeah, real quickly here, Kev, real quickly. IPDN, this is right at the VWAP. 472 is one of the VWAP levels that we talked about. Volume here is increasing.
Beautiful.
Excuse me. This actually looking pretty good here on IPDN. We'll see if we trade above the VWAP there. Someone had asked earlier what platform we were using and if we had level 2. Sorry, I couldn't get to that earlier. The platform that you're seeing me share right now is Benzinga Pro. It is a Newswire platform. It does not have level 2. That's something you should be able to get through your broker.
Yep.
IPDN here still testing VWAP. The battle is going on right now. 472.
The battle is here. Guys, make sure you hit that like button if you're taking some trades with us. If you traded IPDN, ARTL is also going. Is ARTL back and running?
Here, ARTL is resumed. It is holding 20 so far. I'm not in ARTL. I'm trying IPDN here. Here we go on IPDN. Let's see if we pop above and roll. I'd like a move towards 5.
And here's that news right here, guys. It might not give us that big of an impact. The order book looks pretty clean right now. It's not that low. If we could dip towards 35, I would consider taking another long position if we can hold on ES, and that would be SPY. Yep, SPY QQQ close to the gap fill from Friday's highs. Good job, Jonathan. Good eye on that. Great stuff.
IPDN coming in a little bit. Might fail here at the VWAP. We'll see.
Let's see, guys. Chicago PMI for June is 40.4 versus the 42.7 estimate. So we do have a bit of a miss on that. ARTL failing that $20 mark, trying to make its way back towards support near VWAP and key level 1788. Gold is also very range bound this morning. Oil has also been range bound for the past week of price action due to all the uncertainty in the economy, uncertainty on the whole tariff and trade deals. So we want to be patient on that, especially because there was an announcement recently on the new trade deals with the US and Canada, and the US gets 50% of its crude oil inventory supply from Canada. So if we have a bad trade deal going on with them, that's going to heavily impact crude oil prices.
Here we go. IPDN. Watch this 480. There's some, if it trades up to 480, there's some size there that it looks like it's trying to take. I think if we pop above that, could probably clear this one here. We'll see. IPDN. I've got the VWAP here, 471. My broker's got it at 466, and I see size at 480 on the offer that we're trying to take out. Another pullback beneath this. We'll probably stop out and wait for it to set up again. Let's see if we can pop 480 here on IPDN.
Nice.
Come on. Needs to make a decision here, Kev.
It does, man. It does. I'm also thinking bearish on equities right now. ESNQ. If we take a look at our equities in total, Meta Microsoft, Apple. Apple's moving lower at the moment. Let me swap that for a quick second so we can take a look at our large cap. So look at this perfect rejection on Tesla off of that 325 level. We have NVIDIA's been making new low of day for the past.
Here's 480. Sorry to interrupt. Here's 480. They're taking it up. They couldn't get it. Not strong enough that first time. Well, there it goes. Through 485. We'll take some gains here on that move. All right. We still have a move towards 5 here. Outmost, we'll see if we move above 5. I got the next spot in here about 540 on IPDN. All right.
Beautiful.
All right. Nice little move there. Nice little move there. Some of these smaller ones have really kind of been tough, but at least we got some follow through there in that 480. I'd love to see this take out 5. Ondis, yeah, I'm seeing that here too. ONDS continuing to trade up here, perhaps on the back of that New York Post rumor for the New York Police Department adding the Iron Drone. That would be sick. ONDS here, 220 now and holding higher. Oh, did we lose Kev? I think we had Kevin freeze there. Either looks like that or he's extremely happy right now. That might just be a internet snafu there. IPDN pulling back here. We'll stop out of the rest of that there at 450. ONDS working here though. That's good. What else are we in here, folks? Actually looking for another one if we can get it set up. Kevin lost power. Time to fire up the Generac. I feel that. Smita's asking, what do you think about solar stocks, run and set edge moving up? So the way I would think about this is that solar stocks only trades right now. There's a lot of stuff with the bill, stuff with energy, solar totally out of favor. I would say that these are probably going to be short-term trades. I would not necessarily take a long-term view on solar. By the way, stopped out of the trailer there on IPDN. Thankfully, we did get some movement there early, so we're able to scalp that one. Not a whole lot on that, but at least it's something. So I'm out of favor here on solar. I'd be curious to know, what's your favorite solar name? Smoke Tuna mentioning that a lot of bank stocks are getting volume here. Tuna, which banks? I'd ask you the same question I asked Lion. What are your favorite banks? Goldman Sachs here. This is still holding higher by 2.5%. We'll take a look at JP Morgan. This also holding higher here by about 1.4%. What are your favorite bank stocks? Yeah, it looks like we had a power fluctuation for Kevin. He'll be right back. Kevin looks like the Joker. It's really annoying when you have a connection drop and you get frozen in one of those spots. Can be kind of annoying here. Day trader, I like SoFi and TFC. SoFi is an interesting one. I feel like there's a tech angle to that. TFC, Truist, interesting. Truist actually has a pretty good chart. Doesn't Truist pay a dividend too? Yeah, 5.5% there on Truist. Okay, I like that. Lion likes JP Morgan, the Fortress, TPC. And you bank with. So day trader, you bank with SoFi. What is it about that bank account that you like the most? Jay also saying this is a good week to sell weekly premium because it's a shorter week. Remember, we have the 4th of July holiday on Friday. No market, no show. Izzy mentioning Joby here. Is Joby taking off? Yes, it is. So those EV tolls moving here. What does Archer look like here today? ACHR, Archer, similar. Did we get news on either one of these this morning? Nothing here for Archer. Let's check Joby real quick. Yeah, Joby did have some new news here today. Joby Aviation shares are trading higher after the company announced it completed a series of test flights in Dubai. Okay, good stuff there. Joby plus 14%, bringing Archer along with it. KLTO. Hey, this was another one. Good stuff there, Sean. I wasn't on this one. I was messing around with IPDN, which ended up not having much follow through. KLTO, nice pop here. This a move above the VWAP through the pre-market range there at 120. Looks like we're peaking right here about 140 on this. What's our next spot? This is a resistance spot, and I think about 150, 152 next here. Good stuff for whoever hit this one. Here's another one. Eric, EVEX is another one to watch on the eVTOL industry. It's owned by Embraer, low publicly available float. Okay, let me pull that up here and take a look at that really quick. EVEX. And this is actually a pretty nice looking chart here too. You're right about this. This is 51 million shares in the float. On average, it only trades about 250,000 shares a day. But this not bad. Kevin, welcome back.
Oh man, apparently 90 to 100 degrees for New York is too hot for the electricity to keep going. But I'm glad it came back.
Do you know what? That's interesting. What do you suspect this being a brownout?
It went out for like 2 minutes. It came right back. I do think so. Other people were complaining about it the other day in my town, and I didn't have it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so that I actually listened to a podcast, Sean Ryan Show podcast the other day that was about the power grid and nuclear energy. They talked a lot about there being increasing amounts of brownouts as we move to nuclear. I'm just wondering if that's related at all. Nonetheless.
What's up, Isaac? I know. Okay, I look like a hologram, a Star Wars hologram. That's pretty cool. You guys want me to give you like a mission? I was going to say that's for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're our only hope. All right, you guys got it. You guys are young Padawans for today. We're going to trade some stocks. All right, let's see, guys. Okay, this EVEX, this is a pretty interesting one. I think I'm going to add this to the eVTOL playlist or watch list. Did I just call it a playlist? Come on, Ryan, get it together. Ondas, by the way, trying to break more new highs here at 224. Ondas really strong here today. Really strong out of the gate. All it needed was a rumor about the New York Police Department buying some of the drones. Apparently, that's all it took. That's it. That's awesome, guys. We got some good stuff here today, guys. Make sure you keep running that like button up. We'll hit 150. We'll hit 200, just like Friday, guys. Had a great day Friday. We want to end this, start this week strong as well. IPDN, let's see what's going on with that one right now. It's a massive disappointment. I'm with Daniel here. It is. Look, we got a lot of the sign IPDN. Come on, Ryan, get it together. We got a lot of the signs that we were going to go higher. It teased a breakout above the VWAP, but it really just kind of gave it back. Now, the good news here is that we've really held the 15 EMA. I didn't necessarily want to hold that position. I kind of had some crappy entry up there in the 460s. Didn't want to hold it all the way down here. But watch this, though, because if we get this volume to flow back in here, I wouldn't be shocked if this moves back towards that VWAP at 460 and maybe through it. Awesome. Here's a big fat thank you, Lion. Lion, you've been selling all of the pops recently as we push to new all-time highs. BBAI getting a mention here. Are we finally moving on that? IPDN might be curling here. I watched this move here at 4 and 405. Here's BBAI. Wonderful. JNPR 845% on call volume. Earnings on July 31st. Now, JNPR had a news with Hewlett Packard here this morning. Now, this one, I think, isn't this a buyout? So Juniper Network shares are trading higher after the company and Hewlett Packard Enterprise reached an agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice to resolve its lawsuit challenging HPE's acquisition of Juniper, paving the way for the transaction to close. So indeed, this was a stock that had a pending merger. They were unsure if this was going to close. It is closed. Juniper here is up 8.4%. As far as the trade goes, I think this one's over here. If you had Juniper, congrats. This is a done deal now. It also might be worth checking ticker HPE, which is going to be the acquiring company. This holding higher by 11.6% here today. Wonderful. Wonderful. Guys, let's see. JNPR. We got somebody. What's going on? AKA Jay Walker. What's going on Twitch? Cool stuff, man. Like to see it. A little bit of everywhere. Guys, gold's been range bound. No opportunities on gold. No opportunities on oil. We are possibly getting another opportunity on ES for some shorts now. So, guys, earlier I was looking for long positions. I missed that long position due to that little outage, but that's okay, right? I'm going to let the market develop and give me another possible trade opportunity. The trade I see up here would be we have a fair value gap on the 5-minute, But on the 15-minute, we had our basing, our sell-off. So it would look for this 15-minute to close red as well. Now, we might not get that. Right now, we have 3 minutes left for this 15-minute to close. It could push higher, close up here. Could push lower, close down here. Right now, I'm just waiting on this one at the moment. Let's see. This is ES too. So I'd like to see if we could reject near VWAP, near 62.43. 62.43. We do have more aggressive selling pressure today as well. A lot more negative deltas on our volume. JNPR. What else are we looking at? VOR up 33%. So that's one that might have some room. VOR Biopharma. Look at this one, guys. This one opened around $1.12, currently trading at $1.44.
That was one we traded last week too. By the way, IPDN curling off of that 4 so far, back up towards the VWAP, not quite there. Real quick question here. Lion says, "Oh yes, Ryan, I'm selling anything except my family." Okay, well, good to hear that you're not selling your family, Lion. That's a good thing. Zane is asking, or Zane, however it's supposed to be pronounced. I'm sorry. You guys were right on OST, but there's news now. What does it mean for OST? This is a stock that just got absolutely pummeled. They have an offering here today. The stock is 17 cents. The news here is that this is not good. You should not be in this. There's not a trade here. This is a utter failure here. Austin Technology announces a $5 million registered direct offering of 41.7 million shares at 12 cents each with pre-funded warrants. Stay away. To me, I don't want any part of that. That to me, that's a nothing.
Yep. A nothing burger.
Yep.
Big nothing burger that we won't touch with our 10-foot pole.
That's right. That's right. The 10-foot pole making its appearance again.
All right, what are we looking at? Zach, what are you looking at right now? Everything has a price. Yep. That's right, guys. Don't forget, you only need one kidney. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we don't want to advise anyone selling kidneys.
No,
IPD, after that attempted bounce, right back down to its 15 EMA, right down there at 405. Good old RCAT. You want to take a look at good old RCAT? That's going to be, again, in the drone theme here. RCAT trading higher, maybe on the back of that rumor with Ondas, as that's making a nice move here today. Last piece of news we have for RCAT came regarding its short interest. That was back on Friday. So nothing key here on RCAT. This does look like it's trying to pop 750, though. I'd watch that for one of your upside levels.
Yep, I like that on RCAT. Would you say 750? That's a great level.
Yeah.
Great key psychological level right there. We see historically, even just the past few days on the 5-minute, we see that was an area of resistance. When price was above it, it was an area of support. It's a pretty solid zone right there, right? And guys, when we're coming into zones like this, don't think, oh, we're coming into a resistance point. I can't take any trades. This stinks. No way, guys. It's a complete opposite. If anything, we're coming into a resistance point to either A, have a selling opportunity, or B, can I add my alert above it and say, okay, well, once we get above it, then I'm going to use this resistance as support. All right, let's see.
IPDN still trying here. I'm not going to try again on IPDN. I felt lucky to have escaped that with a little bit anyway, but here's what it looks like. It does look like it's going to try and make another move towards that 463. Look, what we've seen with IPDN so far, if you get any type of gain in this, do not be afraid to take it. Lion here mentioning app, that is looking good. That is continuing to move higher here. App, a nice move out of the gate here. We did have, okay, so this is coming up to this 360. That looked to be a pretty key level here. Let's take a look at the daily. Here's what I'm looking at, Lion. Something needs to happen here because we absolutely have a head and shoulders formed here on the daily. If this thing really needs to make a move close to and through 400, if this rolls over at all, I actually think this could print 200 on the downside if it really gets going. By the way, IPDN, that did start to accelerate here. It looks like this is going to make another attempt at VWAP. Again, I'm going to pass on this one.
Yeah.
But maybe we're getting another opportunity here. Izzy mentioning SoFi. This is one of those banks that the chat has been talking about earlier. Looks like you guys picked a good day to do that. SoFi here ripping to the upside, up 8.5%, pounding the highs as we speak.
Nice, nice. I'd like to see selling pressure here on equities, ES and NQ, SPY, QQQ. We're near a resistance point on the NASDAQ. Equities have been pretty weak right now, too. I'm in just one contract short on the NASDAQ at 835. Stop loss is at 842. I'm looking to see if we can make our way towards the low of day or at least get a scalp to the downside. Show you guys exactly entry-wise where we're at.
Oh, let me get your chart up. Here you go.
Yes, sir. Look at this, guys. Nice rejection to this point. I wanted to see volume hold us lower. I was using Bookmap. I looked at these big passive sellers. That's where I was selling with. So I'd like to see us move back lower. If we fail, I have a very tight stop loss. I know how much my risk is. I know how much my reward will be. 15-minute. Look at that 15, nice, trying to push red. And again, this could be another trade that we just turn into a scalp because we got a quick move to the downside. We got a very nice entry, and we see that we're starting to fail to move lower from here. We could check our footprint chart and see where our point of control is. Now, this is a little bit of a red flag. I would want our point of control to be much lower than it currently is trading at. We have 2 minutes for this 5 to close, and I would really need to see that continue back lower. Take a look at our weighted index, make sure that's moving lower as well. Nope, that's not our weighted index. Let's see.
IPDN, by the way, creeping up to its VWAP here.
Yeah, I'm not liking this NASDAQ short anymore. Sellers keep failing. Equities are trying to hold. Where's our equity chart? Nope, Microsoft new low day, Apple new low day. Meta's the one that's trying to hold bullish right here. If Meta could fail, that would be great, but Nvidia's also holding. I might scalp out of this NQ short if it gives me another quick dip lower.
It's also worth noting here that the VIX did pop here in the pre-market to about the high level that it was at on Friday. It's really kind of struggled to get above that level and test that 17 and a half. It's holding right here at about 1730 on the VIX.
Yeah.
By the way, so really quick, let me just go to a couple of things here. IPDN. This right back, oops, let me go to the intraday chart here. This right back to its VWAP could not get through it, so be careful with that. Again, if you took this off of the lower level there, I'd for sure book some gains. Also, y'all were asking about APLD, so here we go. Let me just do this real quick, Kev. APLD has been heavy to carry. Do you have any levels for it? APLD showing more weakness here today. We're actually testing the range there from Friday. If I take a look at the daily chart here, it sure looks like this really kind of wants to roll over here. I want to see some more volume come into this name and maybe push us higher here on APLD. You saw the big move that we made when we broke out of this 7 handle. We moved almost all the way up to 16. Good Lord, this was a double thereabouts. We've come back in a little bit, but it is feeling like it's a little bit heavy here, Sean. I'd want this really to kind of move above 1050 and start get going now. Otherwise, I think we probably break this $10 to the downside. We might even close this gap if we lose 10.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like what you're saying on that. Guys, I'm going to get out of NASDAQ here. I'm not a big fan of the, oh, here we go. Give us a move. Give us a move, and then I'll get out. Let's see. What do we lock in, chat? What do we lock in, chat? Where are we locking in? Let's lock it in. Let's just lock it in right there. Lock in a nice quick little scalp. We scalp it right now. Markets have been a little inconsistent. Our trend has been bullish, so I'm not too comfortable holding shorts for too long. And that's just how we got to take it. Recognize our setups, recognize the conditions of the market, and be patient. APLD mentioned, what did you say, the $10 mark as a possible downside target?
Yeah, I think if APLD loses 10, it's look out below.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Let's look at it on the daily time frame. I mean, yeah, if it loses that 10, probably going to see 950 today.
W buy. This was another one of the movers that we had. This has done absolutely nothing here today. We actually used the VWAP as upside resistance. This to me looks like it might try and resolve lower. That VOR Biopharma that you just mentioned not long ago, Kevin, this is trading higher after Wainwright upgraded this company and gave it a $3 price target. Sure looks like VOR is on its way to $1.50 here. Good volume, nice little high a day break from last week. This is pretty much right at the impulse move from Wednesday. So this area, this had a key level right now. VOR, ticker VOR.
Let's see, VOR. Another biopharma, right? We had those marked at 147 as a target. And 147 was hit. Was this one we saw in pre-market? I believe so.
Yeah, this was actually one from last week. It was getting a little action here in the pre-market. Wasn't crazy, but this was more of a continuation play from last week.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks pretty solid. 147, I had that marked out from a pre-market high on last Thursday, and we just rejected it. Right now, guys, whenever we have old pre-market highs, old previous day highs, we want to mark those out as areas that we could either use as targets or we could use for possible reversals or pullbacks, because a lot of traders are looking for those breakouts to take long positions. And we don't want to do that. A lot of breakouts end up being fake outs. Let's see, ZOR. Wonderful.
Boeing is sorry, really quickly here.
Yeah.
Boeing is actually rolling over here today. This has had a number of strong days recently. We've talked about Boeing recently.
Oh, I love
am
Boeing.
seeing some call activity bought into this move down. These are the 250 calls that expire in August. This is the August monthly contract. These were bought in pretty good size here. Looks like about 2,500 total calls there for that 250 strike there on Boeing. Remember, this is on a downdraft, but we were recently testing this area right up here about 215. So part of me wonders if this is going to build some strength and then push through here. I'll tell you what, that 250 area, that actually looks attainable. Maybe not by August. This would need to really move quickly if that's the case. But nonetheless, some unusual option activity there for you on Boeing, ticker BA.
Yep. Yeah, I like Boeing's a great company. Another company that you don't have to worry, oh, is it going to go bankrupt in a day? It's Boeing. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you got to worry about the door plugs, though. I tell you what, the headline risk when one of those Boeing planes has some type of trouble, man, is that rough on those positions.
Yeah, no, those are wild. Those are absolutely like another world.
Yeah. Andrew Senior TV saying, Ryan, GBX Carrier. This is Greenbrier Companies here. They have earnings tomorrow after the market closes. So earnings on July 1st. Looks like they went ex-dividend. Oh, no, they declared a dividend here today. They pay 32 cents per share. Here's a look at the daily chart on this. Let's take a look. You can see we might be trying to move back up towards the 50 handle. Really think we need to get this 47 area cleared out first, though, on GBX. This is Greenbrier. What else was this? Good short-term trend here. Really good value rating from Tim Melvin's ratings there.
Nice.
Freight car equipment in North America and Europe. There you go. Ticker GBX.
GBX. DMX. GBX.
Anne Marie, good morning. It's great to have you here. BA Boeing always wins Heartbreaker of the Year award. Indeed, it does. Upside and downside. I tell you what, though, stocks that have good upside and downside moves, they do make for pretty good trades. Boeing is always liquid enough for us to trade. So if you can really kind of figure out what the plan is there, you can do pretty well here. IPDN, how did we do on that? Okay, we tested that VWAP again and stopped there. So hopefully no one played a VWAP breakout there. BBAI, new highs as this took out that impulse move. 680 prints now, BBAI.
Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. What was the one we were looking for that was making its way to 25? I think
that was ARTL. ARTL. That stopped. Actually, it did print above 25. Didn't he call that? Didn't he call 25?
Yes, sir.
That's unreal.
Yes, sir. We do it here. Yes, sir. Every day. That's the Benzinga way.
I like it.
Price level, some targets. If this, then this, right? My setup, guys, was if we could get above 178, like to see 120 as a target. If we could hold 120 with some strength, we could definitely see 125. I think even somebody in the chat mentioned 125, not 125, 25 on ARTL as well. Guys, great job, community. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a like. I think Ryan's got that little deck on hand. Get some noises going.
Yeah. Oh, the soundboard?
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
There we go.
We'll do one up for that. Mama Bear saying, Ryan, my VWAP shows 378. Why is that? And that's on IPDN. So your VWAP, a lot of it seems to depend on the broker. It's basically calculating I don't know if maybe it's not using some of the intraday price movement here to calculate your VWAP. I cannot explain why your calculation is different this is something that we see from time to time, and it definitely has to be with the candles that are added in the calculation. A quick comparison from Pro to my broker, which is Thinkorswim here. These VWAPs are about even. I've got 458 as the VWAP on Thinkorswim and 460 as the VWAP here in TradingView. Those are, I mean, that's 2 cents. That's effectively the same. I'm not sure why yours is so different, honestly. Kev, I got to step away and blow my nose again. I'm sorry. BRB.
Dude, do your thing. No worries. It's why I'm here. Guys, I'm looking for ES. I want to see if some short opportunities do want to present themselves. Look how well, guys, I don't know if you guys remember from our pre-market earlier on the ES, we had our volume footprint marked out there. See if it's still there. We could put it back. And we had this low volume down here. Look at this. We wicked right into it and we held as perfect support. So that is fantastic. I would like to see if buyers can hold us. Now, at this point, if I threw a new volume profile up from our New York session open, I see we now have low volume in this fair value gap. So at this point, guys, what I want to see is I want to see a rejection off of that 42.43 point. That's going to be right over here. I'd look for a short position. Guys, if you're looking to trade SPY, you would trade puts. But I would like to see if we can get some good momentum.
Okay, sorry about that. What are you got the futures here? Okay.
Yeah, we were looking for possibly some SPY shorts or SPY puts, maybe some ES shorts, but we're really going to have to see some good structure behind it.
So let me ask you, so you're thinking that if you're looking to short, so if the SPY comes back up to like the pre-market range, let's say 617, you're looking to maybe short and move back down?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So the range I'm looking for on SPY is around 616.90 to about 617.17. So it's a fair value gap on the 5-minute, low volume node up there as well. We see there's low volume. Plus, we also have our P shape now, where volume is heavy to the downside, which usually suggests a bearish move. So that's what I'm going to be looking for at the moment on SPY or ES. Same with the NASDAQ NQ, right, guys? They usually do trend together. So if we could find resistance or an entry on both, that would be great. Right now, Meta is making new high of day. Microsoft is pulling back. Apple's pulling back to VWAP. NVIDIA is rejecting VWAP. So we are pulling back on a lot of equities right now. But the question is, do we hold? What about GNS? Can you look? Yeah, we got you for sure. GNS. Look at that pullback right here on ARTL, by the way. Just wicked back to that key level at 1788 and VWAP at 1760. GNS for our homie Michael Black over there in the chat. Look at that. Another one that's holding VWAP with good volume. Let's take a quick look and see. Look at that daily. Wow, this is fantastic. This is a strong looking stock. We had our breakout candle right here above our 50-cent mark. Made its way all the way to 71 cents on that same day. Volume increased about tenfold. And then we continued from there. In that run alone for the past couple weeks, we're up 216% on GNS. So the question is, do we want to continue here? Are we able to sustain above this recent pivot? This is the last time we had strong volume. We pivoted off of 150 even. So if we're able to break 150 with strong sustainable volume, then this could be one that could run to $2, $2.50. This could be a real nice ROI on that. Somebody asked, what's up, Massroom? What's going on?
Yeah, Master here. Let me handle a couple of these real quick.
Yeah.
Mom Bear saying, Ryan, my VWAP usually shows the same as yours, and it doesn't today, so I'll take that into it. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know what the individual difference is here on that. BMNR, several of you were talking about this. This did break above that $15 level, and then the intraday high here, this trying $17.50 so far. Mazrur's asking, hi, Ryan, I asked quite a few times. Sorry if you missed it. Yeah, you also asked about two stocks that I have no thought. I'm not interested in either one of these for a swing, my man. Sorry about that. I'd be happy to tell you that that's the case, but I generally don't try to poo-poo stocks that you guys are looking at. As far as SYTA, Sciata Mobile, I've been watching this stock for years. This is nothing more than a day trader stock. I don't buy any of the news here. I don't have any type of swing on this. The other one that you were asking about, Hover, HOVR, New Horizon. This to me, this is a junk eVTOL. I zero interest at all. I do like the eVTOL theme. I've traded Archer a few times in the past. Archer would be the way that I go. I would completely pass on both of these stocks that you were asking about. I'm sorry, Mazrur. These are just not ones that I like at all.
You know, not for nothing, HOVR that he mentioned on the daily time frame here, I'm going to just swap that out for a quick sec. We have a major area of resistance that was around that 150 mark. We have made our way above 150. We even retested that point and held that area as support. So if I was looking for a trade on HOVR, I'd be looking obviously for the swings to the upside, but I'd really only be looking for new highs to be taken out. So this could even be a 3-to-1 risk to reward. That looks pretty solid. RZLV host says has another pop. We could take a look at that.
Yeah, sorry, host is me. I was trying to chat so that I didn't have to interrupt you, but it looks like I caused you to be interrupted anyway, so sorry about that. A couple of things here real quick. Brad asking, is BBAI the next Palantir? This is something that we've heard a few times from others, Brad. I personally don't think anything is the next Palantir, but I'm starting to believe a little bit more in BBAI. There might actually be something here. I haven't done enough of my own homework and due diligence to hold this long term. And as far as the move that we've made recently here, I'm not going to add a long-term hold that I chase on something like this. So I would wait for this to maybe come back in towards 4, see if it bases or trades sideways there. As far as the Palantir comparisons, I think it's way too early for that. One more thing here. Sassy Butterfly Chick said, gotta love your honesty, Ryan. Yeah, I'm always going to give it to you straight. And the other thing is I've said this a number of times, there are plenty of things that I don't know or don't care about. And I'm just going to tell you that. Instead of making it up, I'm just going to tell you, hey, I don't know or I don't care. The one other thing that I wanted to mention here, it seems like this has been happening a little bit more often. I guess we had this happen on Friday as well. Folks, we will try and take a look at as many of the stocks as we can. Sometimes we miss them. Sometimes we don't necessarily care for them. Please don't bring penny stocks here. Nobody really cares about penny stocks here for the long term. I understand there might be some trades, but in terms of a long-term investment in a stock that's a penny stock, we're probably not going to cover that.
We'll see.
Kevin's like, don't take those away from me. We might. I'm just saying, don't take personal offense if we don't talk about one of the stocks that you're asking about. Sometimes we don't see them. Sometimes they don't fit in. Other times there's not news. There's nothing going on there. It's just someone talking their book. And that's, we're not trying to do that either.
Yep. I like NVMI. Who mentioned NVMI? I think was Mojo. Mojo, I like the name, dude. But NVMI had a nice area of support. Look at this huge range we have on the daily time frame where we have lows of the range around 170, highs of the range above 250. Right now, we're currently trading at 283, near its all-time highs of 289. This one has some good momentum. It's got good volume. If you're already in this is something I would look to hold until we could make new all-time highs and look to maybe scale out of a few up there. As for starting position, I don't know about starting a position at these highs like that, because the issue with starting a position is you don't know where you're going to be placing your stop loss. You might get stopped out on a wick and then it could continue in your favor, and nothing is worse than that.
Daniel saying, you guys, Ryan has an unspoken beef. Oh no, the beef is very, very much spoken. A lot of these penny stocks are fraudy. They aren't real company. They're junk. They're junk companies. And I cannot, in good conscience, get on something here being like, yes, this is a good swing. The story here sounds great. This and that, only to see that company dilute itself 3 more times, pull a Mullen, go all the way into the ground, and look like an absolute clown, a bozo clown with a big red nose and a red fro and face paint. We don't want to do any of that, folks. We want to stay away from that. We want to try and bring you the good stuff here.
I like your clown example, man. I think that penny stocks perfectly. Now when I think of penny stocks, I'm going to think of a bunch of different penny stock tickers walking out of a clown car.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need. That is exactly what we need.
Yeah.
Izzy wants to take a look at Bull. You want to do some charting here? Ticker BULL.
Let's get it.
Yes. Tony's saying, aren't most of these movers junk? Yes. But I've also noticed that the stock that are literal pennies, like actually under $1, trade differently for whatever reason. And frankly, in my broker, the way the price ladder shows you those stocks is quite annoying too. It shows you like a thousandth delineation, which you can't even trade. You can't even place an order at that. It's just not worth it. There's better, more quality stocks and more quality setups out there that we can exploit.
Yep. Yep. Ooh, Weeble's a tough one, guys. I'd be careful with Weeble due to this big range it's in. I'm surprised myself on how weak it's actually trading. Yeah, I mean, if we could get above 1180, $12 mark, I'd like to see us make our way towards about 14. That's our next major pivot. Other than that, it's really at a tough point right now. It's sold off. If we're looking at the daily time frame, there's really poor price action to trade off of. This would be another one that I personally wouldn't look to trade.
BMNR, by the way, about to pop 17, it looks like. If it does pop 17, I've got 22 as the next level there, ticker BMNR. We'll see if we get that. Folks, one more thing here real quick. So here's your BMNR. We'll see if we pop 17. There we go. We'll go right through it there. Again, 22, the next spot there. Here is why I'm telling you, folks, that it's not ever worth chasing on this. Look at this. We had a great volume pump right here out of the open. Maybe it was on that New York Police Department, possibly ordering these, whatever. All right. We got a nice little pump there. The stock ripped higher here. Looks like it stopped at about 229. And look what happened. It came all the way back in. So if you were patient, if you do like on this and you were patient, now you're being given an opportunity for this to maybe even test $2, which was a reversal point in the pre-market. You didn't chase the price 30 cents higher than this. You're going to be in a lot better shape. Don't chase these moves up. These are moves for you to sell into. Instead, be patient. You will get another opportunity, particularly on some of these smaller stocks.
Yep.
See,
Absolutely.
Izzy. Yes, Izzy. Look, Izzy, you and I and everyone else, frankly, we've watched this enough to learn these patterns. Like, I do have a good long-term view on this, but the reality is that in the short term, the stock doesn't trade all that well. It really doesn't. Like, it gets a piece of news, it trades up, great. It lures in a whole bunch of people that don't have this on their radar. And then it does one of these where it pulls back. Now, all of those day traders are sitting in the red. They're cursing at the stock. They're saying this thing's a piece of junk. If this thing moves down, they're going to get puked out of the backside of that move. Like, let's just avoid all of that. Let's avoid all of that. Let's wait for our spot and try and focus on our entries. Smoke Tuna talks about this a lot too. You get a really good entry, you can do a lot more. The only reason I made money today on IPDN, this stock was junk. This stock was junk. The only reason that I made money on this is because my entry was good and I sold it when we first started to pop that VWAP. That's it.
Ryan, Tony wants to know if you're out of Voyage.
No,
VOYG.
dude, no, I'm not. Now, I will say here, this has been a massive disappointment. Just straight up, this has been a massive. Look at this chart since it IPO'd. I've added a little bit on the way down here. I'm done adding at this point. I don't have a lot on this. I'm down 10 points on this. Okay, so this is not a good IPO at all. Smita here is saying it's a failed IPO, trading below 52-week low. Like, this has not been good. Now, I'm still in this because it's small and I don't necessarily want to take a loss just because it's been out for 2 weeks here. But this one's no good. No good. Now we've kind of stopped adding, at least until I can figure out something else here, whether there's a story. I do think this maybe pops if it gets some type of coverage, but I don't even have a line on that. This trading action is pathetic. If you were in this for a short-term trade, this absolutely should have been one that you kicked out here. I added this in small size, so I'm kind of taking my medicine, but no, I'm not out of it.
No, guys, check it out. BBAI from pre-market. There's that $7 mark we were looking for. Another one I called on $7. We saw ALTR. That one hit $25. Some great price levels today, some great targets, all in which are hitting. Good stuff, everybody.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So, okay, real quick here. Would you buy Voyager now, Tony? Not yet, Tony. I understand why you're asking, because we've moved. It's been the performance has been so poorly. Maybe you can add down here and lower your cost basis. Here's the problem, though. I don't have any reason to take on more risk. This stock has not shown me anything from a performance angle. Now, maybe that changes, right? Maybe I find some article or I read about this, or there's something that I find out that makes the stock more appealing. Right now, though, I'm in risk management mode. I am not adding any more to this because that just puts more risk on the table. The stock has not performed. I don't want to do that. That might change because I'm trying not to panic. But as of right now, no, sir. No, I'm not. One more thing here real quick. There was a question here. Ryan, Daniel's asking, Ryan, did you sell any Ondas or are you looking for higher? I made no sales here today. Remember, when we take a look here at Ondas, I was extremely frustrated. Let me go back to the daily chart and we'll show you. When it was moving higher here, I was trying my best to hold out for $5 and then double digits. Well, you see what happened. This completely turned around at 340. When this turned around at 340 and came all the way back into penny territory, I said, Ryan, you cannot hold and wait and expect the same thing. You just can't do it. So I didn't think the company was going anywhere. I've talked to a lot of people that have quite a bit of this, people that I trust. I've followed the company for a while now, longer than I've wanted to, frankly. When this came back into pennies, I actually doubled my position. And I did that with the intention saying, I know we're going to pop again, but we might not get to those price targets that I was looking for. We got above one. I did a sale at 125, 150, and 190. Now that I've lightened my position, now I'm trying to hold in here. I actually did raise some more money on this. Thankfully, it was only because I was given another opportunity when it completely retraced its move. Now I want to move higher. So yes, I have. I didn't sell any of this today. I'm still holding thousands of shares here for a larger move, but I've at a minimum got myself paid and freed up more of my capital.
Fantastic. Good trade positioning. Good monitoring.
And I would recommend that there's, you guys, like, I can't speak to your risk. Like, you guys are going to have to figure that out on your own. Here's what I would say. We've watched this stock enough here together now to know that unless there's some type of moonshot miracle, this is not going to go from $2, whatever it is now, to double digits overnight. It's just not going to happen. Maybe one of these days we get some crazy fireworks here. Maybe. At this point, though, we've seen enough of these gyrations. Trade around your core position. If you want to hold on to 1,000 shares in case this thing goes crazy sometime in the future, I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm going to do the same thing. But in the meantime, right now, trade around it. Make sure you don't over leverage yourself on a stock here that, frankly, is quite risky. We're not talking about a company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a spec play, so treat it like that.
Nope.
And I agree, Zach. I think if they start to put if they have legitimate catalysts where they put earnings out and they show that their sales are ramping, that's when you're really going to get some price performance here.
Yep, 100%. Somebody mentioned earlier, Dave. They're looking for DAVE. Guys, Dave's not here, man. Who gets that reference?
Oh my God, I can't play. I know exactly what that's from. I can't think of the name. It's killing me.
That is awesome. Guys, look at it real quick on the futures market and the SPY and QQQ. Look at how range-bound price action has been. The New York session opened at 9:30. We had a sell-off candle. Since then, we consider this price action like barcoding, right? Where we go down, we fail to continue lower. We try to push higher, we fail to continue higher. So because of that range-bound price action, I'd much rather try to trade that range. So right now on the 15-minute time frame, I want to see, okay, well, look at how range bound we've been. Can I look to sell these highs and possibly buy these lows? So I'll look to see if there's a short position setting up around 62.43. I had that area marked out earlier. We did not test it yet. If I do look at Bookmap right now, there is a passive seller sitting there too. So I'll look to see if we could react to that. Yo, you got it. You got it, Izzy. You got it. Cheech. Oh man, I love it. The whole
Cheech
chat
and
knows
Chong,
the
yeah.
reference.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I should be able to quote Cheech and Chong better than I do. There's no question. I'm not doing a great job with that.
That's awesome, guys. We like to have fun here, guys. Hit that
Yeah,
like
we
button
do.
if you're enjoying today's stream. I know
Yes,
I
we
am.
do.
Great way to start the week. That's how things have to be. It's important to earn before we learn. I'm sorry, learn before we earn, but it's also helpful to have a good time. I found that people have the most success in something when not only they're trying to learn about it, but when they're interested, when they're intrigued, when they really
Yeah.
get involved. If you're trying to learn something and it's making you bored, it's making you yawn, you're not finding that interesting, it's going to have a tough time sticking, and you're going to have a tough
Yeah.
time really executing with it. If you're into it, you love what you're doing, you see what you're doing, you're starting to understand it, that will help us psychologically to create a better plan and create a better system that we could follow.
ARTL here, we might be taking out 23 and going back towards that 25 print. Jay here giving you a great idea. So for those of you that have Ondas here, the July 2 calls are a 30-cent bid right now. Okay, so you can actually hit the bid. That's decent premium to sell if desired. So if you're unsure on Ondas, let's say you had 1,000 shares and you bought them at $1.18 or even in 70, 80 cents like we were talking about here. A move here might be, you know what? Sell calls equal to half of your position here on the July 2. Collect that premium. If the stock keeps ripping, they're going to call away half of your position at a gain, so you're going to be all right. If the stock comes back in, you're going to keep the premium. You're effectively going to be lowering your cost basis without taking on new risk by buying more stock. And then you might be able to set this up again. So, Jay, this is actually not a bad mention here at all, frankly, especially with such a cheap stock. You guys probably have more than 100 or 200 shares. Even if you have a low account balance. So this actually might be a way to kind of lower that. Also here, Rhett was saying no averaging down on iffy stocks. So so I go back and forth on this. I am in complete agreement with Rhett here. If this is a short-term day trade, especially if it's any of these junkier names that we're talking about, Rhett's 100% correct. Do not average down under any circumstance on that. Just sell it and wait to rebuy it. Now, on stocks that you have a long-term view on, like for example, Ondas is a stock that I've been following. So when I add, even though it's a spec stock, when it's lower than my price, I do so trying to dollar cost average. There's way more research that's gone on to this. This is not just some random stock. In general, if you don't have really, really good knowledge of that company and where you expect to go, Rhett's exactly right. Do not make things more complicated for yourself. Yep. Do not. That's good advice there, Rhett. Appreciate you. Hit that like, team. That's right. I love it, Izzy. I love how jacked people are here this morning.
What's your analysis on coin? Mojo's asking about coin. Let's take a look.
There you go.
Awesome. Let's see. COIN. Coinbase. Wonderful. We could take a look at our daily, mark that up. Look at this, guys. All-time highs on Coinbase. Obviously, I believe crypto's been doing well. Take a quick stab at Bitcoin just to look at the overall chart. Yeah, above 100K again, near all-time highs. Looks good. So that would help us with a bullish bias on something like coin, right? Because it's Coinbase. It's very heavily related to crypto, to especially Bitcoin. So because it had a strong rally, I'd probably look for a pullback. Now, a few ways I could look for a pullback would be throwing our volume profile up there from the beginning of this move and look for low volume nodes. And then I could mark those out and say, okay, well, here's 320 to 327, or I should say 313 to 327. Now, this might be a point that I look for long positions or some swing trade calls on coin to see if bulls do want to continue there. That looks pretty solid on coin. Other than that, I'm not seeing too much. We could also use a Fibonacci tool. That's another great tool to use from the high to the low. And that also gives us our 50% mark, which is where we have, look at that. That's our point of control, our 50% mark right there. Anything below that, we have lower volume, decreased volume, good buying opportunities. So I wouldn't really look for coin longs up here. I'd really be patient and see if we could get a better pullback first.
All right, real quickly here on Hood. Kevin, would you mind bringing up Hood? Someone, or I think it was Jay, you were mentioning Hood earlier. Here's my big question on Hood. Where is I understand that this is ripping to the highs, and if you're long, this is great. Where's the next trade? Is the next trade or maybe a regression back to the mean? As this stock takes a break and comes back in? Are you waiting to maybe set up another long trade if this comes into a support level? What's the next trade here on Hood? Because it's one thing to watch this action keep happening. I really don't think chasing this action to the upside is the smart move. Let's set up maybe a potential next trade here, HOOD. And then Jay, if you did bring this up earlier, I'd love to hear what your thoughts on the next Hood trade are.
Yeah, no, great stuff. Good call on Hood. All-time highs looking good. This is sort of how I thought Webull was going to look, because Webull, in my opinion, is a much stronger, better suited broker than something like Robinhood. But clearly making all-time highs, it's doing very well. We don't want to trade against that trend. What I would do at this point, guys, whenever we're at all-time highs on anything, I always want to mark out those keyhole numbers. Those are psychological levels. Anything that ends in a 5, anything that ends in a 0. These are levels that institutions, anybody's going to be looking at, because we don't have any historical levels to work off of. So the next levels we do have is 95. We even 90. Next one after that's possibly 95. And then the next major pivot on Hood, guys, is going to be that $100 per share.
Okay, good stuff there on Hood. Daniel mentioning Reddit near your 155 prediction. That Reddit, so that daily chart just looked like that was actually going to trade higher and kind of break out of the sideways formation. Sure looks like it's still testing 155. Former resistance and support area. Sure looks like it's trying to take that out. We'll see if it's got it.
Beautiful. Yep, right off that zone, right off of a pivot high from last Wednesday. So we rejected that high. We failed to close above it so far. Here on the 5-minute, we also failed to close above it. So I'd be careful on this one. We might see a pullback. Yeah, Daniel, good stuff on that. Great job. What else are we looking at, ladies and gentlemen? We got some BBAI, AEV, nice daily chart, SMCI. We'll take a look at SMCI. That's another big one.
BMNR, sorry to interrupt here.
Yeah.
BMNR is halted to the upside. We did get that move through 16 new highs. This thing halted at 2167. That's not one that I was on here today. Grats if you took BMNR, Bitmine Immersion. It's ripping here, up 400% today.
Wow, that is
unreal.
Huge. That's insane. Love seeing that type of stuff, guys. SMCI here on the daily. This is one that we marked out, I believe, on Friday as well. How we have this very strong triangle pattern coming here. Price is starting to squeeze. The range gets smaller and smaller and smaller up until we're starting to squeeze right through it. We are near a point of resistance, this blue range. Now, if we could get above this, it's also near a key 50 level. If we get above 50, find some support and move higher from there.
BBAI, by the way, testing 7 currently. Hold off that spot.
Nice. I think part of me wants to try a long position here on ES because we've been failing to continue lower lately. So I would try a long here. Pretty tight stop loss. Let's see. I'll show you guys the trade I'm currently in. Always like to show you guys. And we'll see if we could sort of stay range bound and move back higher. So you see I'm trying to buy these lows and sell the highs. But if sellers do want to step in and continue us lower, then that's fine. I just take a stop loss and I stop out of my position. That's okay. We want to be okay with how much we lose. We want to be okay with how much we gain. That's the whole point of trading, guys. All we can do is control how much we make and lose, right? And that's by having a good stop loss and understanding market structure as well. So let's take a look at what else we looking at, ladies and gentlemen. BBA, is that the right one? BBA?
I think he means BBAI.
I think so. Let's see. Look at that, man. That is beautiful. Right to that $7 level.
Jonathan here asking, Ryan, are we seeing profit taking for June today? You know what's interesting here is that the market actually felt pretty good here in the morning. It does seem like the Dow is rolling over the fastest. Kevin, I'd be curious to know what you think. I know NQ pulled earlier, but the Dow's rolling over here. Like I'm watching Home Depot, obviously, because we have a position here. That is straight up pulling back. That's down 1% here, but that actually looking weak. Yes, I would imagine that I want to say yes to that, Jonathan. I want to say that, starting tomorrow, we see the seasonality thing kick in and we go higher in the first of the month and inflows and all of that stuff. I want to say that. We'll just have to wait and see here. I'm still holding I'm not adjusting any of these positions based on the action here today.
Yep. Banks are up today because they passed the stress test. Okay, good to know. Good to keep an eye on. So I'd be careful with ES and NQ here. That would be SPY and QQQ. We're near an area of support. VIX is trying to move higher, make a new high a day, which is bearish. ES made a new low a day, which is bearish. But again, we keep dipping lower. We keep finding support, and we keep failing to continue in either direction. So right now, a lot of people might be trying to take this breakdown lower, and they might get stopped out.
Yeah, Smoke Tuna, your BMNR call was a good one.
Beautiful.
Nice. Continuing to rip. Soundhound, by the way. Kevin, I don't know if you ever traded this one. This has been a kind of a day trader for us. We had a number of people swinging this one. Soundhound, of course, had the big NVIDIA PR a while back that really sent this thing crazy. I guess their products are in a lot of drive-thrus that you might use in your real life here. Here's your chart for Soundhound here today. Nice little impulse move on pretty good volume. I didn't see any. No news for this. No fresh news for this. Looks like a nice move higher here. And now look, just as we're talking here, we break to new highs here. SOUN. The next spot of note here, $12. SOUN.
Awesome. I like that. Yeah, $12 is a great target on that. We're currently trading at 1068, trying to make its way towards 1080. It's got to hit 11 first. $12 today might be a little bit of a stretch, but I do see that as a possible target, even swing trade wise, if we bought today and held into tomorrow, if we did have some follow through. Let's see.
Wow. It's not stock related, but it is football related, and we're in the middle of the summer. Breaking news: the Steelers have finalized a trade for All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins.
He still plays?
Yeah, he still plays. He's going to Pittsburgh now. Big trade there. Jalen Ramsey to the Steelers. Okay, interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, we got stock stuff, but we're going to have news here today, it looks like, as well. We have some sports news here today. We have Wimbledon start this morning for any of you that are interested in tennis. By the way, Tom here is saying, why the heck is my handle showing up? This was a change that it was either YouTube or Restream. I'm not even sure which one it was. We had no control over it. We didn't do it. I'm doing my best to focus on you guys, or to focus on your names and get them correct. Oh, my God, my nose is running again. One sec, Kev.
No, you are good, man. You're good. Guys, I'm seeing a potential reversal here on the ES and NQ down where we're currently trading at. Look at their 15-minute time frame. Look at all these lower wicks right now. So I'd want to see us find some support at this point and make our way back higher. Just at this point, we'd want to see some buying step in. If we could see a big aggressive buyer here on Bookmap at this 35, I would take it long.
Okay.
But let's see. I'm gonna try one more position long here. Tight stop loss. I think it might just run right to stop loss here. Entering here, looking to see not the best of entries. So I want to be a little careful with that.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like it's YouTube. They're rolling it out gradually across all channels. You can change your handle every 2 weeks in settings. Thank you, producer. I love when these companies make changes without talking to anybody, and then it freaks everybody out. I mean, it's just like, why would you do that? Why?
Well, why would they tell us?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's nice to have a little heads up.
By the way, Chime. So I know we talked about Voyager and how disappointing of an IPO that was, and I apologize. I know I had talked about buying that one, bought some myself, told you guys about it. Hopefully, it didn't really hurt anybody on that. Chime, however, this initially moved down. Chime's actually starting to turn around. This actually starting to firm up here. Here's what your daily chart. Here's what your daily chart looks like on Chime. Pretty nice move off of that $30 level. Hoping for the same thing here on Voyager. But Chime, this actually looking pretty good. Look at WBuy. Look at WeBuy Global. Look at this. We couldn't get above the VWAP. Look what happened. Sad trombone. Get out of here. This thing totally rolling over. This is going to completely round trip down to the bottom. Izzy mentioning Fubo. I know Kevin and Izzy seem to like Fubo a lot here. This actually is trading higher. Look, does anyone use the Fubo streaming service? Does anyone have any insight? Is it any good? Here's your daily chart. We actually do look like maybe we're teasing a breakout here. Can't even believe I'm going to say that there. 430, maybe a key spot here on Fubo. And then Tony saying you guys don't use Trade Locker. What the hell is Trade Locker?
Is it a broker? It's probably a broker. No idea. I have to guess.
I have no context. He's just asking us why we don't use it. I don't even know what it is. It's a trading platform. Next gen Forex trading platform. No, I don't even mess around with Forex.
Yeah, no Forex.
Sorry, Tony.
VOR, another move. Let's see. VOR. And I'm probably going to get stopped out of ES over here, guys. It's pulling back. Yep, so we're stopped out of ES. That's okay.
ES, by the way, just kind of looking at the actual futures ticker, it's at its standard deviation away from the VWAP. So this is a potential bounce area unless it continues to move down. Also close to the 615 area. Tony here saying Voyager went up 7 on Thursday and down 10 on Friday. It was wild. It really looked like the chart was setting up for a move higher, and then minus 14% the next day. Something's going on there, and I don't know what it is, which is one of the reasons I'm trying not to make any knee-jerk reactions. Because I'll tell you what, if I sell it and take the $1,000 loss or whatever it is that I'm standing at, like, that's not going to break me. But you know what's going to happen if 3 weeks from now I'm looking at Voyager and it's printing 60s and 70s? I'm going to be so pissed. I'm going to be so pissed that I just knee-jerk reacted to it because the thing went against me.
I'm back in ES, guys. I liked those longs here. I like that we're at the bottom of the range. I feel like we're trying to trap people to the downside if we can reverse here. I entered 2 longs. I got out of 1 contract right there. I'm currently range bound right now. Again, looking to keep this as the low, see if we could hold this low and continue back higher. This is on the ES right now down here near the support zone. Now, we got to be careful because every time we try to find support, we pull back, we range bound, and we sell off again. Now, I do know overall market conditions have been bullish, so that's sort of why I wanted to try to hold these longs to see if maybe the markets wanted to shake people out. It's about 10:45 right now. I know a lot of traders start at 9:30 and they're done by 10:30. So if they got stopped out of their positions, people are starting to walk away. This might be a good time for markets to reverse. Our weighted index has also been very choppy and range bound, so I really wouldn't look for continuation on these trades. There we go. A little momentum there. Here we go. Give us a move. I'd love to see us back towards 42. There we go.
Jane says, Ryan, I do emotional selling sometimes and nearly always regret it. Indeed. Rhett here with Hood so strong recently, surprised bull has not followed. Kevin, this is actually something that we discussed last week. We talked about, there might actually be a good trade coming on bull if it can do any type of gap closure that it has to Hood. Now, Rhett, when we talked about this, we have a number of folks here that I believe use Robinhood and use Webull. One of the discussions was that the actual brokerage experience is not even remotely the same as it is on Robinhood. The other thing is I don't think you're getting nearly the advertising push that Robinhood does. You guys help me out. Does Webull allow crypto, stock, options, and does it incorporate all of those markets? I know Robinhood is doing a really good job getting young people into the investing ecosystem. I actually think that's got a bunch of positives down the road. That's neither here nor there. So I'm just not sure that Webull has enough services to really do that. But the thesis there, I like. It feels to me like Webull needs to pick it up. That's easy for me to say. I don't use that. I don't have an account with Webull.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see. What was that? Webull? We can take a quick look at that.
While you're pulling it up, Tom says we have a half day of trading on Thursday. Is that true? I'll look that up here in a second. No trading on Friday. What am I going to do with myself? Here are some suggestions. 1, call your family members, give them a hug. 2, go outside, get some sunlight, touch some grass, get some exercise. Start with those 2. And if you still need something else to do, maybe get yourself some dinner or something like that.
Oh, you know what you guys could do? You guys could go on Instagram. You could follow at Trading with Kev, and you could follow at Benzinga. That way, whenever there's some type of economic news, something big going on in the market, some type of trade deal, anything breaking news-wise that has an impact on the market, follow Benzinga. You get that news right away.
Brian says red eyes and rib eyes. That sounds not actually. I bought ribeye steak at Costco. They actually had a pretty good deal on ribeyes at Costco this weekend. We're going to make Philly cheesesteaks on the Blackstone out of those this week. It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be unbelievable. Yeah, by the way, Voyager, I'm still looking into Voyager. I know I got 13 on the case too. He's extremely helpful. Well, Voyager might be tied to Starship. Again, still kind of looking into all of that stuff. Just be careful with it. It's been really, really crappy so far. A beach bum here. Appreciate this. Webull supports options, crypto, and even futures. So it looks like the Webull offering is pretty good. Edward was saying Webull's way better. 13 uses Webull. I'm pretty sure he likes it. He never complains about it. Rhett saying, I think I originally got into Webull for the free stock shares a few years ago. But Rhett, I did that for Moo. I got free shares a grab. No judgment there. I'm all about free shares. Nope. You're right, Izzy. I stopped myself. We're not talking about food. We're out of here in 9 minutes. We're not going to talk about burgers and cheesesteaks at 9 o'clock in the morning again.
Oh,
that is the worst. No, Kevin, it is the worst. I fast most of the day. I cannot have visions of cheesesteaks dancing in my mind at 9 o'clock in the morning, or I'm in big trouble. Big trouble.
Fun. That's great. That's great, guys. I need to see ES find some support here. We were finally able to hold this blue zone I had. We closed outside of it, just added a long down here on this pullback. I want to see us continue back higher, guys. Need to see that market overall, guys. Looking at the hourly time frame for weeks now, or even at least the past week, has been bullish. So we'll see if we want to continue. We'll see if we want to push up. Markets have been very range-bound and choppy today, though. Something we have to recognize. And guys, yeah, no, that's on Instagram. That is the Instagram handle is Trading with Kev. Somebody asked if that was Twitter or Instagram. That is Instagram. Let's see. I should get
okay.
going.
So 13. Good morning. I did get that. Sorry, I've been busy here. Okay, so 13, despite being on vacation, 13 has taken time out of his vacation. He's with his family, by the way, and they haven't murdered him somehow. He's taken time out of his vacation to listen to the show. Come up with a text that I can now show. 13, you are outdoing yourself right now. You're making the rest of us look bad, bro. Enjoy your vacation. You had better be in the pool with one of those drinks with the little umbrellas in it in short order here. Good morning. The company, Voyager, this company is very much tied to the success of Starship, as the company is relying on the spacecraft to bring Voyager's Starlab to orbit in a single launch. On the night of June 18th, so let's actually find that here on the chart. Oh, look at this. Here we go. On the night of June 18th, the next Starship up for test flights 10 was undergoing a static fire testing when it exploded, delaying the next tested slate flight for weeks, potentially months. So what 13 is telling you right here, Wednesday, the night of June 18th, Starship exploded. Well, what happened the next day? Stock sold off like crazy. Stock traded down 10.5%. Voyager broke key support on June 20th. That's going to be Friday, since the market was closed for Juneteenth. Voyager is a trade on Starship. A successful test flight should cause the stock to trade to the upside. So there you go. Whoever was, first of all, 13, thank you. But I'm serious. You better be enjoying your vacation with your family. Whoever was asking about Voyager early, this is one of the reasons why we don't really necessarily want to panic. We get an inclination that the next Starship launch might be a positive catalyst for it. Then we can look into adding it at that point. Do traders ever really go on vacation? No. I am guilty. That's why I'm saying this with my chest, because I am guilty of literally being on a patio overlooking Lake Michigan in the morning, and I'm out there with my laptop being like, oh my God, the S&P futures are ticking up 2%. Been there.
I got to take this. I got to take this trade. You don't get it. Markets.
How many times have you told somebody else, your family, significant other, or a friend, you don't get it? I need to look at these numbers. How many times? That has happened to me more times than I'm going to admit to you fine folks here this morning.
Hey, thank you. And who was that? Anne-Marie, thank you. Pointing out 500 lots sitting on ES shorts right there. Got to be careful. I love it, Anne-Marie. You use volume analysis. Oh, they pulled it. There we go. A nice a spoof order. Love to see it. Let's see. I want to see that buying step in here on ES off of this low.
BBAI continuing to push higher here.
CVD trying to curve higher.
I just heard the cat.
Give me some momentum here. Come on, ES.
Ryan, this show is also part of my life. Hey, I'm glad to have all of you a part of my life. Kevin
Good.
says, thanks, Ryan and Kevin in 13. Have a great rest of your day. You too, Kevin. Appreciate all of you. By the way, producers got some poll results here. How did the first half of trading the year go? 59% of you said you're in the green. 25% of you said about flat, and 14% of you said in the red. Couple of things there. First of all, that's actually a pretty good breakdown, especially given the volatility that we've had here with the tariffs and everything else.
Yeah.
I am in the green, but I am not much above flat because I've had some drawdowns on ONDS in particular. That had a huge run at the end of the year and then pulled back here this year. Otherwise, I think I'm doing okay there. I had my fair share of red trades. But for those of you that are in the red, look, we got 6 months. We're going to make this up. Don't try to do it in one day. That's the big piece of advice. Do not try to make up for lost performance in one day. That'll almost certainly get you hurt again.
100%. 100%, guys. Your next trade has nothing to do with your last trade.
That's right.
Got to remember that. Izzy asks, what is the ES? Guys, the ES is the S&P 500 futures. So if you're not trading futures, you could trade SPY. That's the S&P 500 ETF. So you could trade SPY calls, puts, or you could also trade SPY you could actually buy it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm guilty, Izzy. I'm sorry about that. I've glossed over that quite a bit. The ticker in Thinkorswim is /ES. I have been calling the S&P futures ES since like 2014. Since I first learned how to pull that up in my broker, I've been calling it ES. I probably should explain a little bit more. /ES, that's your ticker for S&P futures.
Yeah, I'm out of these longs. Anne-Marie, great call with the big seller, 578 at 62.35. Great call on those sellers. Again, selling pressure has been very aggressive. Here's the tool I use for order flows, Bookmap. We see that I have my set. So here's our current order book. That's all the orders that are on the book right now. Those are passive orders. We have our session volume profile. This shows me the volume profile from the future session. So since 6 p.m. last night. Then I have my session volume delta. This divides the volume for me. So if there's 10,000 volume here, it'll do the math of buying delta minus selling delta and tell me if it's a positive delta or a negative. If we have a lot of negatives, that means there's more aggressive sellers in the market. And as we see here on our session volume delta, we have a majority of red. We have a lot more negative selling delta here, barely any green buying delta at all. So it's a bit of a red flag on any short positions. Then I have RTH, that's our regular trading hours. That's that 9:30 market open. This gives me an idea of where there might be a low volume node.
Real quick here, a couple of things. First of all, folks, we're out of here in 2 minutes. I'm going to send you over to Trader Bacon. You don't have to do anything. I know the time flies, Kevin, when you're having fun. A couple of other things here real quick. Ryan and Kevin, do you use OCO orders? Now, OCO stands for one cancels the other. And yes, occasionally, if I have a stock, especially one that's in profit, and I need to leave for a day, I will set an OCO order that has a stop or it has a price target. That way I can leave from my computer. I'm either going to hold the stock if it does nothing. I'm either going to stop out or take gains if it does one of the others. So yes, I do use those. Not very frequently though. We just talked about traders being addicted to the market and all of that. Generally speaking, I'm not that far away from either my phone or my laptop. So I generally don't have to, but yes, I do that occasionally. Okay. We're going to be flipping over to Trader Bacon. Kev, you got any closing remarks here for the group before we send them over?
I think this was a great stream. If you're here from Friday, here today, guys, make sure you run that like button up. We're real close to 200 likes again. I want to see us hit that. That was awesome. It's been a pleasure streaming with you guys. Hopefully I see you guys more. I'm pretty sure if you bother Benzinga, the host, and Ryan enough, they'll have me on again.
We will definitely have you on, Kevin. You are an asset. We really, really appreciate it. And one of the other things here, I really like that you use some different stuff. You give us another perspective. Really good stuff here this week. We can't thank you enough. Okay.
Absolutely, dude. It's always a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that is Kevin. I'm going to send you over to Trader Bacon. Have a good rest of your Monday, folks. Remember, it is a truncated week here this week with the 4th of July holiday coming at the end. Over to Trader Bacon right now. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.